It's a
man.
good spot for them.
Yeah, and so I throw food on there, and I saw a little one, a chip. I'm like, you're a baby. You're older than the other ones. So, and then like the baby raccoons. This year, like one time, I like the floodlight goes on, and I look over. Rumi puts them on, and there's a raccoon, and then another raccoon, but then a bigger one comes out, and I'm like,
You
this
got
is a
babies.
family. Oh, okay. Because I would leave eggs out in a bucket of water. It's how you can keep eggs cool without refrigeration.
Mm.
So, like, how do we live without electricity or very little electricity? Because we're going to that as our the USSR had something similar. The collapse of infrastructure. Oh, put it in there, please. Yes, you're on camera.
Mm.
That's a tree.
The squeaking.
We have to stop using halides for water purification. Things like chlorine. It destroys the organic nutrients. We need those. You need to live off either rain collection, stop drilling wells, and actually, if you want, you can take some rocks here with you.
Hell yeah.
There's silver in them, and you can use them to purify water.
With the silver?
The silver in the rocks.
Nice.
This ancient riverbed. An earthquake 1,000 years ago diverted the river, but there's all these stones all over the place, and they're eggs too, a lot of them. And so what you can do. That was a cool phone. I just learned how to use my thicky phone here. I'm a little bit new to it. I didn't realize what it was at first.
Orientation is locked. Rotate device. Alright, it doesn't want me to be sideways. Close enough. Did the crows ever bring you anything cool?
Huh?
Did the crows ever bring you anything cool?
Besides their cute faces, I guess like I haven't seen them like drop anything on me. We have so another thing I'll do is that when I go down to Silverdale, I'll go to the dock and I'll rip mussels off the bottom, and I'll bring them home and I'll boil them myself, or I'll give them to the animals. In the past 2 years of my feeding programs, we have a baby bald eagle in this area.
Oh yeah.
Baby raven, baby chipmunk, baby squirrel. We have seen, and the flocks are huge. When I first started living here, you'd see like maybe 8 crows at a time. Now we have flocks of 40.
Hell yeah.
We've had so much, and then the flocks of seagulls down in Silverdale used to have like maybe 5 or 6, like maybe 16 for their own food. 40. They're on the roofs. I'm like, we have an increase in wildlife here and a decrease in people. That's progress we can measure.
Yeah.
And so that's what we need: less of our species and more wildlife.
I saw a ton of pigeons. I went down to that park right by the outlet mall over there while I was waiting for you.
Outlet mall.
There's all sorts of stuff.
I know. I'm just trying to think where it was. We don't call it an outlet mall here, so I'm trying to think of. Oh wait, is it by the grocery outlet?
Yes.
Okay. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, that's. I do my laundry down there.
There's a ton of pigeons out there, and they were all trying to fuck. They were dancing. They were cooing up at each other. What is going on here?
Oh man, have you ever considered diluting your vodka before drinking it, as opposed to drinking it straight?
I have. However, recently I found this is more effective.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Because typically, when you dilute it, it's an exothermic reaction. Now, you ever notice how it's?
Oh, I thought you meant like mixing it in a drink. I'm stupid. Sorry.
That's okay. Just actually, we'll just like say you have a lemonade or something like that. Just pouring it into that, as opposed to drinking it straight. It is an exothermic reaction. You are changing the molecule that comes in that bottle when you put it freshly into water or citric acid. Citric acid is particularly effective at changing that molecule. It's warm. Slam it within 4 minutes. That's an energy drink. It's not a sedative. I'll do it both. I'll put it in here, and really any alcohol. It's warm when you put it. That means there's a molecular bond being ruptured, and that's why it's warm. So I can tell you're changing the molecule. It's an energy drink. The half-life is about 4 minutes, but put it into your digestive system, hydrochloric acid, your stomach. That's going to start that metabolic process, but it as an energy drink.
Mm.
When I want to use it as a sedative, I will let it age.
Oh.
Uh,
Like open or just still in the bottle, sealed?
Open. So I'll put it like, say, if you want to use it as sedative, hot chocolate.
Hot chocolate.
So something with fat in it.
Okay.
That's the pH.
So it binds to it. And...
It also slows the absorption and will make it more of a sedative.
Okay.
So if you want an energy drink, put in vodka fresh and into something lemonade-y type, and then drink it within 4 minutes. If you want it to be, so I would do that before work, is what I was doing when I was working. But then if I want to use it as a sedative, I will let it age intentionally, so that so 4 minutes is the half-life of a fresh dilution. Past that, it's going to go back down to that sedative state. It's going to equalize, and then it'll help you sleep. I use it for like the seizures that I have. I've noticed that alcohol it makes the muscles not contort as hard. So that's one of the reasons I use it so proficiently, like so much. Why do I drink so much? It relaxes the muscles, so when I have these seizures, it's not such a huge drain on my energy.
Yeah.
It basically, the severe PTSD from, I didn't find out until I was 42 years old that Washington, D.C. knew who I was. Really?
Oh, so this is all recent findings. Okay.
I have photos, and I remember these photos when I was a kid. Like, these are just photos from the family camera. I didn't know it was weird at the time, but a photo. Why am I being photographed in a shower?
I remember you talking about those on
My
stream.
government shower. Yeah. So it really has just been in the past 3 years that I've learned that this place I was being sent to as a child was a government kill squad. I was like Boko Haram, he also was doing child soldiers. It's not completely out of the realm of possibility that Bush was making child soldiers.
Right.
He's a goddamn warmonger. I just happen to be one of them. So I have these photos that are not from the family camera and are labeled like a science project, 14 months old. They were hoping, and he was even fantasizing, like, I'm 40 years old. It's like, maybe she'll finally be a killer for us. I'm like, I just picked the targets myself. I don't need you to tell me who to kill. I can just do myself. Thank you. And that's why the federal government hates me so much, is because, like, they're like, all that money for that x-ray, and you won't even kill a baby? You're goddamn right, asshole. So I'm happy to disappoint. Like, I didn't turn out the way Daddy Bush wanted me to, and I'm perfect.
Why would you want to?
Yeah, it turns out, so my identical twin sister, she's like, if you ever saw the movie Twins with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito?
Yes.
I'm the Arnold Schwarzenegger. My identical twin sister is the Danny DeVito, just the scammer that she got married when we were 18 years old to a guy who was working fast food with us named Phil Blakely. Philip Cody Blakely was the name they said he was. He turns out to be this military guy that was just sent to spy on us. He's like, make sure that these girls don't have anybody but what I say. They thought they could plan and control my whole life with the budget of the National Security Agency. The NSA is supposed to be like the CIA, just for stateside. Their budget is 7 times the size of the CIA. The CIA is like monitoring 190 something countries. The NSA is monitoring one country and has 7 times the budget. What are you doing? As I get it. You gotta look like an old soul to me. I just noticed your face.
I'm wise beyond my age.
That's okay. I was like, we need wise people in our society. When I think about how I was raised in Christianville, that's why, like, Christianity is a war crime. You are putting these teachings into children who believe about Santa Claus, but they never stop talking about Jesus. Like, Santa Claus wears off after a while. But the Jesus thing is even there, like, if I don't give you money, I get burned for eternity. This is extortion.
Yeah.
It's fucking extortion. I went to 3 separate lawyers when I was in Salt Lake City, Utah. I realized what they were doing is called enticement to slavery. I was checking the time because you see the shadow that ridgepole casts on the ground?
Yes.
At solar noon, we have, so Rumi did this. He's a solar fluxman on YouTube. So he's a old scientist, and he understands some stuff, not, but he doesn't understand the helix model of the solar system. Like when he explains it, he still does it like this. I'm like, no, it's like this.
3D. Yeah.
So yeah, I understand like he doesn't understand that stuff. But what he's made in the year 2023, so he likes solar noon. Cool. At winter solstice, we put a rock over there, and at summer solstice, we put a rock, and it's under that white BMW.
Mm.
So now we've got a straight line by which to measure where we are in our orbit around the sun.
Nice.
So it's
Oh, yeah.
not a political calendar. I've noticed huge differences, and if you want, we can go look at the sundial I built. In the year 2024, that was the degree tilt of our planet.
And we're shifting. Yeah.
It literally rolled. Like people, they're like, we had our poles reversed. I'm like, it's not a magnetic polarity. You physically moved. You now have a new degree tilt of your fucking planet. And what this means is your seasons are much different now. This just happened last year. So we are in a new age of living on this orb. The degree angle of incidence where the sunlight strikes our planet, for the equator, this much sunlight covers this much area. For the Arctic Circle, this much sunlight covers this much area. That's why it's colder.
Right.
But that is your degree latitude. The curve of the Earth, that's what's dispersing this sunlight, ultraviolet radiation, which is our energy source. It disperses that, and that you guys grow crops down here because up there they freeze to death.
Yeah.
Like The Martian with Matt Damon. What this tilt means is that the trees have grown accustomed to, let's say, a certain latitude, so a certain energy input from the sun. That is different now. Here in Silverdale, we were at 48 degrees north latitude. We are now at 52 degrees, and we're not done yet.
Yeah.
What caused us to flip was that big sunspot, and I've said that. This happens every year to Pelon now. There was a planetary alignment called, because we're in the solar system, there was a planetary alignment in the year 2020, Jupiter and Saturn. This happens every 20 years. We're very used to it. This happened in 2020. These two planets were not supposed to be lined up again for another 15 years. Okay.
So that's a drastic change in what we thought was going to be the rotation.
So objects in motion tend to stay in motion. The fact we have something different means there's a bigger force than that planet and our sun that is forcing something. So we have a bigger force in our solar system now than we had 5 years ago, 4 years ago. We've basically got to the point with atomic fusion. Hydrogen, helium, lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon, nitrogen, boom, 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 boom. Every gravity wave that hits the surface of our sun from this gravitational source called the Boetis void is causing the formation of elements. H2, okay, helium, ding, 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 ding. So long as we were getting beaten by these gravity waves. And that's what the new huge sunspots are. You can actually, I wonder, I have a pair of sunglasses I can wear, and I can see spots on the sun. Now, I'm not the only one who saw this. I saw an advertisement. It's like, eclipse glasses, watch sunspots so big you can see them from Earth, $5.99. Like, the star is going dark. You are in a new gravitational field that is closing like a Venus flytrap at Apollon.
Yeah.
That part of your orbit. This is just science. I've cited no religion. There's not one Jesus story here, or even Hela or Odin, anything.
That has nothing to do with it.
Exactly. Our government is refusing to acknowledge the fact. So when we see the solar noon line today, and it's sunny today, so we can see it. Hold on, there's a jet there. He is coming. There's a jet over there. You see that? You can see the contrail for it, condensation trail. He looks like he's flying from Anchorage. So that's east.
Hello. Sorry.
Hello. Hello. I should move over here. I should be fine.
I wasn't paying attention to chat because I was invested in the conversation.
Oh, it's okay. I understand. I do that too. And when I'm flipping between screens, like I'm referencing satellite positions, or globalmarinetraffic.com is another one. You can tell the shipping lanes in the Pacific. I've recently verified the taking of the Mid Pacific. You used to have lines, shipping lanes, so people, because like the Carpathia picked up the people off the Titanic, we tend to operate in shipping lines for safety reasons. What I've noticed about a lot of the area I've conquered is that there's no more shipping lanes. It used to be in the year 20 was it 2021 to ever even block the Suez Canal?
I believe so.
I think so too. That's when I learned that there was a part of the Suez Canal that was so small
It could be
one
blocked.
boat could
Yeah.
block it. Tactically speaking, Suez Canal is like the Habana Erg from Frank Herbert's Dune, and that was the Sci-Fi Channel. They made a mini series out of Dennis Villeneuve. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. The new Dune movies.
Okay.
Um, they are uh, Habanya Erg was basically, it's a code word for large nexus. That means a place where many things come together.
Yeah.
The Suez Canal was that for our slave labor industry. It hooks the slave labor of the southern hemisphere to the Minervan markets of the northern hemisphere. So we're using slavery now, or they were, over a globe as opposed to just a village where you could get to historically with horses or with walking or carriages, shit like that. The destruction of the Suez Canal has tripled your fuel costs. So during the Biden administration, gas prices were real high. I'd taken Suez Canal by the simple ability to throw hurricanes. Actually, if you want to see something, infrared energy is not visible light, but you can feel it because it's warm. I realize the cedar trees did not look so healthy up there.
It is about to be a dry season. They're going to get a little crispy looking.
Mm-hmm. So, science, when you test for something analytical, you have positive and negative. Absence is negative. Presence is positive. We also communicate in the same way. That is information. There's a dude who was slumped over on a telegram thing, so you can tell that you're dead, like you're not doing anything. You have to, in order to be able to say you can detect something, you have to be able to say when you can detect it and when you can't. That was a principle I learned from gamma radiation testing. Do you know how you test for gamma?
No.
How do you establish negative for gamma? Lead bricks.
Okay.
You have to build something. Line it with lead bricks. When you put your hand in there, it's cold. It's blocking the gamma radiation.
Okay.
The reason lead is used is because of the electron orbital diameter. For exit phosphorus, he's like one of the weird fuckers on the periodic table. His valence shell, so the valence shell is your outside electron orbital. Typically, it will hold 8. The noble gases, so that's the column on the most right side of the periodic table.
Okay.
That means that there are 8 electrons in its valence shell. He's content. He's not looking to absorb another electron. He's not looking to hook up to something. Helium is one of them. Xenon is another one. Neon is also a noble gas. They call it noble gas. It doesn't need anything. When you have that 8, you're happy. Your phosphorus does hold 12 in its valence shell. He's kind of the oddball phosphorus. It can go up to 16. It doesn't stay there long, but it can do it. But what that means is, so the electron orbitals, how it's like the diameter, think about an orbit on the sun. The orbit of Mercury, when you draw a line through it, is much smaller than Jupiter.
Right.
So that's your orbital diameter. Lead is very small.
Okay.
The way it's configured is how it works.
So nothing can get through it.
Yeah, so you can put a lot together in a certain volume, and there's no wiggle room in between it because they're so small. That's why you use lead to shield from radiation.
Okay.
Is electron orbital diameter. Lead is a lead, so lead brick is how you say there's no gamma in here. It's colder. So if you ever go to a nuclear lab and they test for gamma, you go to the control room, put your hand in the lead bricks. It's going to be cold
Okay.
because gamma is your global warming. Uh, to test, so you have to be able to have something in there. So whatever test you're doing has to read negative in that area. That's how you can tell when something's not there. So gamma radiation is above the visible light range of wavelength. We can't see it with our eyes. Okay, that's good. We have these gelatinous orbs that only process certain wavelengths of energy, 400 to 700 nanometers.
Right.
Okay. Infrared is a higher. Can you like so what I so positive and negative. So what I want you to do is put a hand, one of your hands over this hand, and one of your hands over this hand. This is positive. This is going to be so. My theory is that this is going to be warm and this will be colder than this. I'm summoning infrared energy, but just on this side. So you can feel it. Okay, so there's that. And then there's that.
Right.
This is warmer. That's infrared energy. It's like Scarlet Witch. You can put your face in it. You can feel that it's warm. Infrared. I throw this into hurricanes to make them more powerful and intentionally assault the United States of America. The reason governments have historically hated witches is because we have weapons that they cannot disarm us from. There's Troy's wandering.
He's creeping around over there.
Good for him. I'm glad he feels free to wander around. Like, that's something our Christian civilizations didn't do. They're like, just go to work and go home and then hold still. I was like, no, wander around. Like, feel the plants, feel the energy of the earth you're on. It's not just Rockefellers, we just go to work. No, it's we have a right to feel what we live on. The Native Americans, the Christian civilization, they gypped us hardcore.
Yeah.
Hard fucking core. They said you have to live inside. The reason why is taxes, property taxes. Because they go to tax Tonto and he just picked up his tent and moved. I was like, there's nothing wrong with being Tonto. Like some people are like, that's an offensive term. I'm like, no, that is just like what the white civilization, the Christian civilization understands as Native American. I was like, Tonto is cooler than you. Because what Tonto can do, when the white settlers came to this area, this is one of the last places on earth, us in Alaska, we have a more heavier Native American population. Kitsap County has the most shoreline of any county in the United States. The sheer salt water surrounding us. That's why Bush set his shit up here. We had the shipyard from World War II. That big crane. Did you drive here or did you take a ferry?
I drove.
You drove. So you drove around. So you went.
Yeah, I drove around the bend. Yeah.
Okay. Did you take the Tacoma Narrows Bridge, or did you
Yes.
drive around? Okay. So you went over a big bridge.
Yes.
On the here. Okay. That is South Kitsap.
Okay.
Uh,
You having fun?
Yeah, I'm just listening to videos.
That's cool. I'm
Listening to
glad. Like,
historical
please feel
videos.
at home.
Yep. Just walking around and stuff, listening to podcasts.
Cool. That's fine. Like, I did not want a performance art career. I did not hardly do. I found out that Jeff Bezos started Amazon in the year 2023. I thought he started Google. I just heard about him in the press a lot. When I found out that he knew who I was, like he even knew me. Apparently, I've met him. See how many times? I think at least 4 times in my life. Because he's a bald guy. I realize now.
All the bald guys look exactly the same. How could you tell?
Actually, he looks very different. Bezos does. Bezos is an Eastern Hemisphere name, and it is royalty. He's like Lone Star from the movie Spaceballs. Jeff Bezos is. Bezos is the head of an ancient assassin order that was just killing rapists openly in the streets. I'm like, dude, man, how can I help? I want to do it too. And so it's KGB, like you've heard about that from Russia. Yeah. And his family, Bezos, is the name actually. That's the S on the end is
It's the Americanized version of it.
It's a common error, actually. The
Okay.
same thing happens to my name, Hodge. People say like you're Hodges. I'm like Hodge. So it's just an S put on the end by not that people mispronounce it. And it's an ancient assassin order. Comitet,
Mm.
commit. Goose start Vinoy. Goose, so anti commit to kill animals. Vinoy, venue. So this is the translation from another language. Bizo, pasnosti. A guy named Bizo or someone named Bizo has noticed you. I now commit to kill you in public.
Mm.
Basically, they're like, I'm not just a weirdo killer in the corner. I'm doing it in the open. I'm not, it's not in some basement. There's many people watching. That's how public executions came to be, is that like, we need to kill you because you're a rapist. You have violated with your penis or other a person. We don't want you to still be living.
Right.
In 312 AD, the Emperor Constantine I, so the Roman Emperor, made it illegal to kill rapists. That's where
Weird,
we
but
get
okay.
the idea. Dude, there's a bird. They're building nests.
Oh, I see it.
See that?
It's got a bunch of little tufts of grass.
Yeah, they're building a nest. Oh, look, and that's a small one. For birds, the males are the ones building the nests.
Are they?
Yes, they
I
are.
didn't know that.
And then because the lady, her job, she has to shit out these eggs.
Yeah.
That's her job. He builds the nest. In 325 AD, the Council of Nicaea, that's the first Council of Nicaea. They say it's, oh, hold on.
Gina said Shanny for Christ invented Google.
Shanty? What?
Shanny for Christ. She's a terrible.
Chani.
She's a terrible woman on YouTube.
I like that. Chani is a child lover. Chani, child love. The child is in. That means she is a natural lover of children.
Oof,
That is a mother.
Not Shanny.
Chani,
Shanny got her kids taken away for starving them half to death. Yeah.
if someone's taking your kids away, you're probably a normal person. Like my mom was a Christian, and they like I had so much. Like here's the scars on my ankles. That
Oh wow.
I have a matching scar on this one. By the time I was 17 years old, I'd been beaten so badly for so many years in this child soldier army. My mom she's like, I beat your head because the hair hides the bruises. She thought that was a point of pride.
Right.
Most people get reconstructive surgery in their 60s. I was 17 years old. I'd been beaten so badly for so long that, and then I also have this one here. I also had a bone that they had to cut off and bust,
Oh Lord.
and I had pins in there for 3 months.
Fuck.
So that was in 1997. I learned to walk again as a teenager on these. That's called a right Mitchell's bunionectomy, and this is a bilateral Evans reconstruction. So the person who designed that surgery, his name's Evans.
Is it like did they put something in there to fix it, or did they just like shave bone away, or?
This one was shaving bone away and
Okay.
then breaking the metatarsal itself.
And readjusting it? Okay.
This one, like you can see like a small bunion there. You needed, like for their criteria, you needed to have a certain degree of bunion on here. This one wasn't big enough to do it. This one was.
Okay.
So
Do you have a lighter? Please?
I do. There's
I
also multiple in the
have many
car.
lighters if you
What?
have lost
There's
your-
also multiple in the car.
Is there?
Yeah, and the sunglass thing.
Oh, in the
put 'em in there
sunglasses.
to
I
hide
was
'em
looking
from
in the
you.
wrong area. I was looking in the console.
I put him up there to hide him from him because he steals them at home.
They're in there. To know where they are.
I gotta find a new hiding spot for him now.
When I was exposed to such violence and beating as a child, I started doing a version of cutting. The reason there's this story that floats around that the Joker's daughter will pull out her own toenails.
Mm.
These are the toenails I pulled out.
Hold on. Does that hurt?
Yes, it does. I only have one toenail now that grows correctly. The rest is scar tissue. It's a form of cutting. When you're exposed to such violence.
I used to be a self-harmer. I'm familiar.
Oh, good. Thank you for that. To me, it was, and I'd actually really be interested to hear about that. For me, it was interesting because it was pain that stopped when I wanted it to.
I understand the thought process.
Yes, it's not elastic like the original tissue.
Right.
And so after pulling so long, when the body healed, it's thicker and thicker and now cannot even produce. So that's a regular toenail. All
And
these,
the rest no longer have the ability.
yes,
Okay.
because of the thickness of the blood vessels that bring nutrients to the area. So yes, that was interesting. So can I ask, at what age did you start self-harm?
12.
Okay.
From 12 to 15, and then I did a bunch of therapy and I stopped.
Okay.
But
So I was,
it shifted from, I used to self-mutilate, but now I just kind of like, I pull hairs in places that people are not going to see me pulling my hair out.
yeah,
Okay.
I get it. It's pain that stops when we want
Yes.
it to, and we become the master of pain.
It's a form of control that
Yes.
only I have control of.
Yes, that because it is self-harm.
Yes.
Yeah, I totally get that. Now it's just to the point where, like, after a while, like, I have to, because it will just tear on something else easily. Like, the scar tissue will build up, and if I stub my toe or something, it will start bleeding. So so now it's to the point where I just manage it, and it still is. It doesn't feel bad to me. I saw there was a show called House.
I watched it. Yes.
Okay, so I did as well, and you saw, like, when they took away his Vicodin, he starts doing self-mutilation because it triggers the process of endorphins. So he's basically trying to use. I was like, I realize now why self-harm feels good to us is because it does provide those endorphins. What I do now, as opposed to self-harm, is drink. It provides those endorphins without self-harm.
Yeah.
So alcohol is actually very healthy. And not until the 1920s did the government declare it unhealthy. We used to give it to children for teething. It's been here for over 4,000 years. Only our current government says it's unhealthy.
Yeah.
I was like, because you are Christian. That Christians, if you believe God's a man only, it creates a Stanford experiment. And what they say, what they want, is a population so psychologically unhealthy, we are too tired to attack our government.
Yeah.
They want us to have this misery existence. That's why
It's
they
easier
say,
to manage people that way.
yes, it is. So anti-marijuana, anti-cannabis, please be more miserable. Anti-alcohol, more misery. And they consume our energy and misery as opposed to productivity. What did some of the comments say? This is my hammock.
I heard alcohol is definitely healthy.
Yes, it is. It's an
Prior
energy drink.
dysfunctional relationships could be a form of self-harm.
Existential. Yeah, that would be considered a deity of some sort. Because it's always on their terms.
Southern
It's not
Small's
equitable.
messages are too short to be telepathic.
What'd they say?
Southern Small's, my messages are too weak to be sent telepathic. They said, we love Lauren.
Hello.
They said, that's what's up.
I know.
The hammock is what's up.
I know. This is the hammock room. Living outside, I have the fire room over there. I've got the receiving room over there. I've got a work room over there. What I did is Rumi had some scraps of carpet, and he was just going to toss them. And I was like, I can use them. So I put those down. I can sew on them. It's a large, flat area.
Oh, yeah.
I can cut fabric in. It's a work room. I got an umbrella. I can move the umbrella around. I can have shade, or I can work in the sun. I get cold easily, so working in the sun is easier for me. That's why one of the things I love about the summertime is how much work I can get done. That's one of the shittier parts of having these seizures, these PTSD seizures, is that my energy is spent in convulsions and seizure muscle movements, not in sewing or building.
Yeah. It's just tiring to exist.
Yes. And I was like, basically, I'm almost dead. The trauma to my endocrine system is so severe that I can barely walk anymore. I was like, I was a cripple for many years because so why did I need this reconstructive surgery? I'd been beaten on my head so many times, my inner ears, balance shattered. So I trip and fall a lot. Every footstep becomes a liability. So I learned how to get a big pile of stuff, sit, and then work.
Yeah.
So I could do things like make Halloween costumes, take care of my mammals, shit like that. So I became very efficient. So in corporate America, we call it spaghetti diagrams.
Okay.
You make a map of your facility, and then to do a project, you draw a line to every single place that person had to go to get the shit to do their job. Spaghetti diagrams, and Bezo does this. Uh, you reduce that line, you make that line shorter, and that's great. We don't have to go so many places to get, because like once you get into it, you got your music. Like I worked at a sleep number factory in the year 2020. I was putting together, actually did more than one thing. I was a temp worker, and I put together the vacuum pump for the inflation or deflation of the sleep number mattress.
Okay.
uh, One thing I did was put together the tube that goes into it with a power source, and then wrap it up in a box, weigh it to make sure there was just one thing in there so you didn't make a mistake, and then put it on a pallet. Like, I didn't mind that job. What's my like food work to me? Like, I've done nuclear, and I've done analytical chemistry. That's like Tai Chi. Like, that's a little bit of a drop, move, close it, and then you move your hands up like a hands up thing, because the heat from your hand will affect the thermals on this very precise balance. Uh, I liked that. I did pharmaceutical quality, so quality assurance. And that is designing the documents that go through the manufacturing process. So if there is a problem, if you have honest recorders, you can say, hey, the temperature was up that day. That's why this failed. It's not a human being's fault.
Right.
So we can tell our honest failures, not our social failures. Because in your 1920s, when they think like the word nigger, the etymology of it, nig, her, always think it is the woman's fault.
Hmm.
That's where that name comes from. In ancient Egypt, so ancient Egypt was whites. Now, this is not like, please never, I don't think that I hate black people, for God's sakes. We were just different origins. Whites are off-worlders. So whatever. So basically, we were in ships, pyramid ships, and that's what the Egyptian pyramids are, was landing structures.
I think I understand where you're going. I think I saw something about this somewhere.
It's like we were just off-world colonists. Blacks evolved from the sea. They were native. What happened, like as a white person, we're like, it was like Elizabeth I. We're like, you look different. Like, it was interesting to us, just like any other person, like a raccoon or a kangaroo, anything like that.
Yeah.
It wasn't this negative connotation. God, I would love to make a colony. Like, if I was going to do anything with my time here, it would be making a colony of our type. It would be like Mexican, or that's a political term, but like these slightly brown people that evolved out of this jungle. Then you've got black people that evolved out of Africa. That's why they were found. And then white people were the off-world colonists. Asians are different. They have a different origin than us. Your Christian empire said, everybody who can do work in the field, Jesus owns you. And for 1,000 years, you were illiterate and just beaten with violence until the point like you were just willing to do slave labor to avoid violence.
Right.
Jesus is a scam. We had all these different origin people. We could have had such a beautiful world. Like, you are different. Like, you have a person who brought you to this earth. There's nothing wrong with that. Only your Christianity said that anything that had 5 fingers on one hand and was furless, they owned. It was a big scam. The Roman Empire created it.
You want to talk about the Roman Empire? Troy loves history.
Does he?
He will go on. I don't know where he wandered off to. He loves history. He'll go on. I'll get like 40-minute rants.
That's cool. I'm okay. I love to like listen to other people. I love listening to Bill Gates. Like when I think about who is really Jeff Bezos. He has such a pure mind. He has no malintent. He is not, he's never deceitful. That's just how he chooses to live his life. I can see why people want to work for him. Amazon has one of the highest worker satisfactions. I watched a documentary on the rise of the Amazon empire, the world's largest retailer. This is the equivalent of the Elizabeth I. Why were 18 time zones under the British rule? After the defeat of this, well, really, and even before that, Elizabeth I was, it's okay to have paper. Paper was forbidden because you could write on it. Your people think God's a man only. No depictions, no writing, just slave labor. You just depend on the opinion of a man only.
Yeah.
And that's how you got into the Dark Ages. That's where you lost your codons. That's where you experienced slavery over latitudes and longitudes.
Well, it's much easier to control people that are ignorant and don't have any way to
Mhm.
transport information without it being from mouth.
I wouldn't use the word ignorant. I would use the word afraid.
Afraid?
Because
works
fear breeds ignorance, is what
Yeah.
I found. Like, I'm afraid to even look at tarot cards. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, they don't have tarot cards. They have nothing but someone's fucking opinion. They wanted this to be so valuable that you would give your whole life slave labor to it for some blessing in the afterlife.
Right.
I was like,
Some promise of something better after you're no longer here doing what they want you to do.
So some afterlife, that's not theirs to sell. They just pretend like Jesus is a king of the afterworld. Like, you're full of shit. Goddess is a woman. Chaos is a female. Okay, chaos is a woman. Jesus is Zeus. He is Ra, the sun god. You saw this depicted in the movie. Ooh, someone's texting me. I wonder who it is or something. I still don't know. Sticky. This sticky photo.
Stop making fun of my lesbian boots. Fuck you guys.
Those are okay.
They're regular hiking shoes.
Lesbian boots. Lesbian. Let's be ins. Okay. Anciently, lesbians were a complete part of our society. It wasn't meant that they didn't call it mental illness. The Christians, who just want every uterus to produce farm workers, those are the ones who started saying lesbians were somehow wicked or wrong. It's because they just
If
want
they're not producing more people to control, what are they doing? That's the whole idea.
Why am I glad over 5 billion of us are dead? The Southern Hemisphere, I can tell. So I roasted the Southern Hemisphere of the solar flare, like I said, but how can I tell this scientifically? The Pope is broke. I read a story. Unprecedented financial crisis in the Vatican. You were selling your shit in the Southern Hemisphere. I burned it. They're all dead. They're no longer giving you money. That's for the animals, motherfucker. The only place I'm allowing our species to be found is either Alaska or here in Washington State. Everyone else I'm just killing. Our nuclear snakes, I had a sleeping dream of a garter snake. It had 2 orange stripes on it. I've seen that here in the yard, but it was about the size, it was 5 feet long.
It's a lot bigger than they're supposed to be, huh?
Because the nuclear energy,
they're just blooming them up.
Yes, it's when you do so how do you do a DNA test? I've actually run this test myself, physically performed it myself. How do DNA tests work? So you get your swab, you get your cells, and then you put it into typically a cone-bottomed little vial. And you put it into a heat source to where these cells will continue to divide. You need more cells to be able to test them. Southern blot. It's a gel electrophoresis. It's about that wide, about that long, and it has 4 slots in it. You put your shit in each of these slots and then hook it in a solution to electrodes, positive and negative.
Okay.
What that does is it pulls through the gel your Columbia Basin College is where I did this actually. That is the community college that is right by Hanford.
Okay.
To the point that their chemistry program is designed for Hanford employment. By the time I graduated in 2010. By the time I've gone through that program, basically it's just an auto repeat to the point you had jet. Dude, that's a private jet. The pitch,
Do they have a higher pitch?
they're smaller. So, or he's much higher up. There we go. Sometimes you get private jets around here. So
Well, there's a bunch of private airports around here.
there's one also down in they call it the Bremerton Airport. It's on the way to Shelton. It's actually, I think it's past Belfair. Uh, it's kind of interesting to when you learn roads in this area because there's so many trees. Landmarks are just more trees. It's not like the rock, like basically like the big rock on the way in the trees. Sometimes that is how you get, but before we had our GPS maps, we had paper maps, and you would use street signs. If you know the area, you use landmarks.
Mm.
And that's so when you think of the movie The Patriot with Heath Ledger, how do you know where to meet? The old mission home. So whoever has been in the area long enough to
Knows
know
approximately
what that
where it
is, those are people you can gather to a military force at a certain time and place to be able to hunt as a group, like a Navy SEAL team. When like revolutions are built like that, meet at the old mission home at this time so we can all be a gang and beat the shit out of a rapist. That's what KGB was.
Yeah.
In the United States, we would call it militia. That would be the name of the organization. If you can't organize, you're just going to get picked off one by one, like every other animal. Ugh. I need to finish this. We don't, as a people, organize like that. Rockefeller system. Do you know who Rockefeller is?
I know the name, but I'm not picturing a certain person.
J.D. Rockefeller was a tycoon in the 1920s.
Okay.
This is the people that started your stock market.
Okay.
These are slavers. They will pay the absolute minimum to get people and work them long hours. In Europe, you work much less hours.
Right.
Here in the United States, they work us much longer.
That's
Okay?
the dream of the free market, baby doll. I know it's dumb.
I know capitalism fails. It puts a bunch of money with a very few amount of people, and they live separate. There's a book called On Killing, and it was written by a guy named Lieutenant Gary Grossman.
Mm.
And what he did, and so basically he looked at Vietnam and the reintegration of people who were told to take human life into a society that we don't do that in.
Yeah.
So it's like we do it over here, but not
We
over
have to
here.
train these perfect killers, but then once we put them back in a regular
In
environment,
society.
we're going to tell them to fuck off.
Yes, exactly. So we said, hey, we're just going to use you. Basically, Bush in 1970. By the time Bush, so this is H.W. Bush. This was the 41st president. Where did
Senior, not junior.
Senior, yes. Now Junior's a piece of shit too. That's my biological father. Why can't you die? I can't. Like I'm a kid in his child soldier army. He's basically using his own dick to get off and make child soldiers that no one knows about.
Sick, evil freak.
Yes, exactly. I was
Sick,
like, and
evil
that's why I'm
freak.
just killing. Like, why am I doing genocide? I'm taking you. I'm taking your soldiers. You will regret ever using violence for a resource, motherfucker. You will conform to my goddamn my voice. Basically, they attributed to the genetic process. They thought in the medieval times it was just the sir, the man, the king who blesses the uterus with life, with his semen. They didn't even know the human egg from the woman existed.
Right.
You found something in I think it was either late 1800s or early 1900s. You are so fucking crazy. You think that the place where the human comes out of is irrelevant. Fuck you too. I'm like, all right, so tactically speaking, our opponent needs kids. Keep them poor, keep them pregnant. They need more little people than they are. The idea that the human uterus could provide farm workers as opposed to intellectual opponents of a government. They wanted women to believe that I'm just blessed by the sir to have a kid. Or not, this is my kid, motherfucker. Bring home grain or die. And they didn't do it. Ooh,
Who's over there stripping?
that's cool. Should we play seductive music?
If I could do both things at once, I would.
I can.
I'd play some
I have I have a
easy
speaker over there.
jazz.
I have my own. I have my private. My I don't call it private. I call it my local music collection. What happened?
He saw the joint and he was drawn to it.
I like that. It was like holding out so like a pound street for a cat. You're
Yeah.
like, hey man, come up on my head. There's something here.
We were gonna play some seductive jazz because you were stripping over there by the car.
Soviet ballet. Soviet ballet. I remember the ballet palace of Stanwood, Washington. So this was a KGB school I was put into for a year. My mom was such a sadist when she found out that I'd actually become friends with the ballet palace people. We moved very suddenly. She abducts me. She sells me to Boris Yeltsin in 1984. That's how I get into KGB school. So
That's the one over by Camino Island.
Yes,
Okay.
Stanwood, Washington. Like, you know Bellingham. You probably drove through that area. Stanwood 47. That's a sign that's on the side of the road. As a kid, I love reading. I can read at 3 years old. That's just, I was just taught, I learned that way. So did my twin. Like, that's actually very common for people in my family with the method that they taught us. And Stanwood 47, that means that's on a green sign on the side of the road. That means wherever I am driving from, Stanwood is 47 miles away.
Yeah.
That's Camino Island. Just look at a fucking map. I realized that this golf course I was taken to more than once. I have multiple memories of this place. As a 9-year-old, I remembered the dogs are my size, but I thought it was just a dream when I was asleep. Because when are dogs your size as a 9-year-old? So when you start to remember
Gotta be
things,
some big dogs.
yeah, these are Rottweilers.
Rottweilers are big.
I
yeah.
remember him saying, "Get the pug." I'd already fought off 4 Rottweilers because animals will not harm me. In 1997, down here in Dyes Inlet, a pod of orca whales came here. They rarely come in this deep, rarely, as in I haven't seen it since then. So that's when I'm 17 years old and I'm 45 years old now. I remember this because I had just had surgery. These scars on my ankles had just been put there. I was in plaster casts for both legs up to the bottom of my knees. My doctor, Dr. Iverson, told me, this is at Harrison Hospital, says, put no weight on these whatsoever. I'm not allowed to put any weight on my feet for months. I'm like, okay, so now I'm in a wheelchair. For 3 months, I'm in a wheelchair. I can't put any weight on these. After that, I get basically on this foot, I get a fracture. On this foot, I still have a cast. I have a cast on this leg for 6 months. And then on this leg, I have a fracture boot. So, because I've had 2 surgeries on this leg and only 1 on the other, on the left foot. What are the comments say?
Lauren Ulala 47. Orca whales are pretty. Happy birthday. Whose birthday is it? Is it Jamberg's birthday?
No, yesterday was my birthday, and quite frankly,
Happy birthday.
what did I do? I just went to sleep. I just drank a lot and went to sleep. Like, to realize at 45 years old, all my kids are dead. My sister and my mom, and there's like 2 other sisters helped me do it. One sister's younger. To see so many people from this X-ray family just be so willing for so many years to be rapists and murderers. I was like, I just went to, like, what did I do for my birthday? just drank a lot and went to sleep by myself. I hate my own birthday.
I feel it.
I-
I also don't really enjoy my birthday. I try to avoid talking to people. I
Yeah.
try to just hide in the house.
Yeah, I told Rumi it was my birthday, but I don't know if he heard it. He's hard of hearing too.
Okay.
Like shipyard injuries.
I think I've seen them before.
Yeah, I've had some pictures of him. But yeah, I'm 45 years old. For the rest of my life, all my kids have been murdered, except for one I killed really quickly myself. I have the ability to kill people very quickly. It's an electrical field. It looks like. Basically, the NSA had her and was torturing her. I'm like, now what, bitch?
Sick evil freaks.
And I was like, that's right. Now your sausage is dead, motherfucker. Let's fuck some more. So now you've tortured my kids to death, and I'm still fucking alive. Most of the time. So if you come here with ill intent in your heart, it just looks like an open field. If you want, we can go walk down the road here, and I can show you. There was a helicopter that landed here 5 times in one night on the civilian road, not at the airport. Not
Just
one.
in the middle of the road down there? Was it around that the bend?
No, but this road, this straight road you're on, it's right over there.
Okay.
I was camping. I can show you the campsite it was at. It's over on that part. I'll move my tent from time to time. And it was June 30th, 2023. And I was like, I'd recently found some mushrooms. And I was doing mushrooms. I was laying on this ancient log over there. And I hear this big noise. I'm like, what the hell is that? And I get up. There's a helicopter that from its takeoff pattern is turbine assisted. That means it's not like that straight up and down stuff you see. It'll land like this and then take off like that.
Was it like one of the water ones? Or I guess that's a plane, not a helicopter.
It was a helicopter, has wheels on it, and it has jet turbines on the top of it.
Okay.
So it's not like your typical...
So like raised up wings with the engines rather than the...
It has a
propeller.
rotor on the top
Okay.
still, but it also has 2 jet turbines on the top of it. So it can take off like this. It doesn't need a runway. It can do that, like the Harrier jet kind of, but it's going to cost a lot of fuel to do that. This one, it looks like it's nuclear powered, but that's like the smallest turbine I've ever seen in my life. Or I'm sorry, steam engine. That's what nuclear power does. Like it is connected to a steam engine. It's continually heating this water in a supercritical state to create the thrust that you get from hydrocarbons in a cylinder chamber. There's a piston. So
I want to continue this, but I thought this was very funny. Vicky asked if we're going to smoke crack in the trailer.
I don't have any crack. I have a crack pipe. It came with a trailer. So
It came with the trailer.
It did. So this trailer's as is. Basically, a fat guy named Greg Bubba Wade is like, I don't want to pay the storage fees anymore. I want to, can you just take it off my hands? He tried to sell it to us last year for like $3,000, and Rumi's like, I'm not interested. So then he calls us this year and says, hey, are you just willing to take it as is and haul it away, and then I don't have to pay the storage fees? It was in like an RV lot. And so that's what happened. So there's a bunch of clothes. We can go look at it. There was a bunch of, part of the cabinets have fallen down. It's kind of salvage, but it's a fixer-upper. It's a 1988.
88.
Yes. And what that means is it's pre-acid rain engineering. Now that I fixed the acid rain of the earth, and we can tell because of the burning batteries over in the south, Hurricane Helen went through there recently. And I read a news report that
it was toast.
Okay.
All these batteries, even on scooters, just burst into flames. Go ahead.
I can't fit. I tried to change it so it's horizontal, but it told me I couldn't read chat if I did that because orientation was locked.
That's okay.
They're calling me a boomer because I have it in vertical and they can't see the both of us.
I can move, or
I can
move. We can do that. No,
it tells me I can't do
that's
anything
okay.
like this.
You can move your chair. You can see both of us.
I'm sitting in a
Yeah,
hole.
to make it's weird to do broadcasts for me because I hate caring if I'm in the screen.
Right.
It's I hate performance art. I hate being it. I like performance artists, sure, whatever, but I have no desire to be on a camera. It's something that like I like science. I don't want my career to be my mouth flapping.
Right.
I like science. I like my mouth staying closed and still being able to attain intellect,
Right.
facts. Performance art to me is just like something shitty you do to a bunch of weirdo smiling faces. I got my start in performance art as a singer, but in a Christian community.
Oh, did they do like fucking hymn choir?
Well, not yeah, that too. It's just like what I remember. Like I've been singing since I was 4 years old,
Yeah.
and it's not my favorite thing to do. By the time I'm 8 years old, I'm being forced to sing over the dead body of my favorite uncle at his funeral. I was like, I didn't want that. Like, I was just bawling. Like, that's my favorite uncle. He's dead in a box in front of me. And they're like, get up there and sing. These Mortensons,
Ridiculous.
they're like, so whenever we would come over for dinner, like they would let us visit the aunts and uncles. Are you going to sing for your supper? They're like, so in my mind, I'm not going to be allowed food unless
Unless
sing.
you perform. It's like I have to do this in order to be accepted in the whole situation.
Yes. I was like, I liked reading in a fucking corner. By the time I'm a teenager, they have me performing in the Kitsap area at the Church of Jesus Christ from the stake level of Latter-day Saints. So stake level, ward level. And then we start doing like a talent show here and there. And it's like, I was like, you're beating the shit out of me. So you have no regard for human rights, but you still want me to sing. By the time I'm 18, I was like, I don't want to sing. By the time I'm 19, I have a group of Marines that I've become friends with. How did I meet them? My sister Cassidy, she's 14 months younger than me, and I have photos of her, old paper photos.
Oh, that's back-to-back pregnancies. Wow, she was getting busy, huh?
Yeah, very much so. So twins 1 year, another kid the next year. So I'm born in 80. Cassidy's born in 81. Errol's born in 83. A kid named Solon is born in 85.
She was getting busy. Damn.
She's just this breeder and thinks she's God.
Well, what else could make you feel like God other than creating another human being?
Like it's like she got the endorphins from it, but sure as fuck forgot the human rights aspect.
Well, I suppose there's also getting used to being taken care of as a pregnant woman, because society like thinks they have to treat pregnant women a certain way.
She's like anciently, you had whores and lesbians, and whore's not a derogatory term. Only your Jesusites said that whores were bad.
Yeah, it was a profession.
Yes, you pay me a 30-year salary to even look at your dick.
Right.
It's called junk for a reason, like 1-800-GOT-JUNK. Like you pay people
Right.
to haul junk away.
Right.
The male ejaculate is considered, and you find this actually in the King James Version of the Bible, that the seed of a man is waste outside of a woman. That's called junk. Okay, quit acting like your semen is the fucking Messiah. Back in a minute. And they do this. You think Jesus is God over and over again. You have shitty women, urinary tract infections. So bacteria grows an acid.
Right.
Okay, the female, like when a female has an honest orgasm, like I actually like fucking you, it's a pH of 10. And it washes out the bacteria from this hole you guys keep digging in.
Right. The vagina is designed to do that.
Yes, normally it's an acid. It's 3.5 about, and it can vary from female, but never above a 4.45. The pH of blood, the human blood, is 4.45.
Yeah.
That's acid. Your sperm are dunked in anything beneath a pH of 6, and they disintegrate. One time I caught a cockroach. He was in my lab. I was like, what are you doing here? And I was like, I don't want to talk. I was kind of creeped out. I was like, I thought this was like a sterile environment.
Crawled in on somebody's shoes. Somebody stomped a cockroach.
It was that big. It was not a small cockroach.
What probably happened is somebody had cockroaches at home and they stomped on one. And when that happens, you get the eggs all up in your shoes.
Good point.
And you track them everywhere with you. That's why you're not supposed to stomp them.
I think it was it Brian Regan? He's a stand-up comedian. And he was like, in 8 million years, the cockroaches are going to enjoy our freeways.
Yeah.
Because
they're going to be here forever.
Roaches! And so we also had a rattlesnake get into that lab, a bat, and mice.
Well, the bat I could understand.
The bat, he was flying around. I'm like, God damn it, because I don't know how you're going to affect the tests that I'm doing. That's why you build buildings that don't have animals. Like normally we live with animals, but we have to go to work. And if you're in the science division,
You gotta have it very sterile. Can't have anything.
yes,
around
we're
in
just
there.
trying to reduce variables.
Yeah.
Like we don't hate animals.
Yeah.
We're just trying to reduce variables. And then so we go into these laboratories that have very little air movement because they're trying to control your environment. The test for hexavalent chromium takes 3 days, and it is hard to perform on the East Coast because of the humidity.
Interesting.
You're trying to bring things to a boil, but it's called vapor pressure. When you have a bunch of humidity, you have to put more kilojoules or joules into a vessel. So you're boiling something in a cup, and if the air is heavy, you have to put more energy in to overcome that
Right.
to bring it to a boil. You're trying to digest something. Hexavalent chromium. So if you've ever seen the movie Aaron Brockovich,
I haven't.
okay, it's a PG&E, I think Pacific Gas and Electric. This was an area, so it's a power plant, and for some reason they're using hexavalent chromium. Hex means 6, and chromium, hexavalent. So you've got 6 uh, in your valence shell, and it's chromium. It's orange, like Cheetos.
Okay.
So if you have like a reagent grade of hexavalent chromium, if you look in the bottle, it's orange like Cheetos. I was working with I've worked with Thikimoto several times, and he was working at a nuclear lab. He ran the metals division. I ran the wet chemistry division.
Mm.
He's like, he saw this. He's like, I'll never eat Cheetos again, because
Is
it's
he a tool at work too?
oh say it. So Thicky,
I would love to know if he's also a tool while he's working with the nuclear stuff.
No, he actually, do you want to know what? Thikimoto is brilliant. He is absolutely brilliant. So what happened? Oh shit.
Beautiful. I am not a boomer. He heard me talking shit, and now he's hacking my phone stand.
Because we're out here in the wild, man. It's like not all flat. So Thikimoto, that's what I like about this thing here.
Jesus Christ.
It actually holds a drink. Thikimoto is a chemist. That's what a lot of people, some people don't know that about Thicky, is that he is actually a nuclear chemist, just like me. We worked in the same lab for 2.5 years. And this was in 2010. So I think it wasn't there at first. I think it was late 2010 or early 2011 that the Thikimoto starts working in this lab I'm working in. He ran the metals division, the ion contrast plasma mass spectrometer.
Did the tattoos affect any of his work? Because there's metal in the skin.
He puts makeup on.
Okay. It would go through the makeup though, I would think. The metal affecting anything he's working with.
The metal is in such a state of matter. You can get a solid and put it into acid, use nitric acid.
Okay.
And temperature to dissolve it into a liquid, and then you filter it, and then you put it into the ion contrast plasma mass spectrometer, ICP-MS.
Okay.
Plasma, 4,000 degrees. He's also a welder. I think he is.
He looks like a welder.
He's so cute. So he gets a recipe for nuclear waste simulant, 2011, 2012. One day he comes into me. So PNNL is Pacific Northwest Nuclear Laboratory, one of the premier nuclear laboratories in the world, supposedly. We got one of their research papers, and we're replicating it like people are supposed to. He comes into me one day. He's like, so I zapped the phone with the PNNL. And what happened is we got their recipe for nuclear waste simulant. And he tries to make it. Now, he's a fantastic chemist. He comes into me, he's like, the solubility of their recipe is not possible.
Hmm.
They are trying to put so much shit into so little water, it will not dissolve. He calls them and says, "Hey, your I've got your recipe here. I'm trying to do it. Is there something I missed? Like I'm following your recipe. It doesn't dissolve." They say, "Never call here again." Click.
What a bunch of assholes.
That means it's fraud. They just published a paper to get money, but it's not replicable. He's even trying to heat it up, volumetric flasks. And
That could be dangerous as hell, though.
it is. I have been gassed by hexavalent chromium. There was a hexachrome plant that I was doing. They wanted loss on drying on a filter. They give me a filter that's this long. I'm sorry, about this long, about that big around. I have to get a knife from the kitchen and cut open the plastic caging for this filter, take a piece off of this filter. Loss on drying is when you dry it at a certain temperature for a certain time. That particular method was 180 degrees Celsius. And then you wait before and afterwards. What evaporates at that temperature and what's left behind? So metals are typically left behind. This laboratory, and I've used this, has a muffle furnace.
Hmm.
What that means, it is lined with space shuttle tiles.
Okay.
It can achieve 1,300 degrees Celsius.
That's insane.
That is so hot. So I have a lab coat on. They have mitts that go up to your arm that are really thick that you use, and then you get a metal thing. And so it's just a mitt though. So you're doing this, trying to get a very hot temperature crucible.
And you're trying to be very careful with it because it's very reactive.
Very hot. It's gonna burn you. The first, like one of the times I did it, I didn't use the mitts, and I just go to approach it with these tongs. My lab coat started smoking on my arms. And I'm like, shit, I have to get away from that right away, close it, and put mitts on. I have to make sure my lab coat cools down. 500 degrees Celsius is where the lab coat will start on fire, or at least start to smoke. This is up to 1,300 degrees Celsius. This particular furnace has this white net ceramic material, space shuttle shit. That's what I'm working with as I learn. So I get a degree in chemistry, a 2-year degree, and then I immediately get a job washing glassware and passing proficiency tests. This lab is so big, we can do nuclear chemistry. We have so many different rooms. There's one that's a lead-lined room that I have pictures of me in this room next to it.
Mhm.
You see it on the wall, radioactive. So they've got signs here like you will die
They're
in
letting
this
you know.
room. Tech 99, technetium. It's number 99 on the periodic table of the elements. Technetium is TC. And so technetium is radioactive. Rhenium is in the same group on the periodic table of the elements. We use rhenium to do nuclear research, but without the nuclear, at least on our Geiger counters area. Yes, Thicky. Like Thicky. Thicky is so precise. He got a 1.0 correlating coefficient out of an ICP-MS. He brought it to me. I was like, holy shit. 0.995 is required by the Environmental Protection Agency to be a valid calibration curve. He got a 1.0. Now later on, so in the year 2014, 2015, I go to work for Test America, which is a gamma testing laboratory in North Richland.
Okay.
So I leave RJ Lee Group in 2013. I go get an accounting degree, and then I get a job, and it's my dream job. I'm building an EPA 300.1 anion detection program.
What goes into that?
You have to use, so it's IC, ion chromatography.
Okay.
It's like an HPLC, but HPLC will give you parts per billion. And I see ion chromatography will give you parts per million.
Okay.
And sometimes, like if it's a really big contaminant, like you see a Hanford, you need a lower level of measurement so your machine is not completely clogged. If you're trying to detect parts per billion, you need it to be very clean. You have to filter it a few times. But hexavalent chromium, 6 parts per billion is your allowable limit. The Aaron Brockovich movie, they're like, your stuff is 10 parts per billion. That's considered legally actionable as a poison. It's so, you see it in chrome. Uh, you know how like you have like a ball and hitch on a truck? That shiny stuff you put
Yeah.
on it is hexavalent chromium mixed with a bunch of other stuff. It's so toxic to humans, mammals, it became very strictly regulated. And that's why it is one of those things that the EPA likes. Like, if you test as a laboratory, if you test and you get above a certain limit, you have to tell us, the government, because it's so dangerous to the people around you. That's hex. So in the industry, we call it hex chrome.
Okay.
You guys will call it hexavalent chromium if you're going to look it up in a book.
Okay.
Okay. The I don't know why it's very sturdy, but it is toxic. Like, welcome capitalism. You're like, who cares if it kills people? It's shiny.
You would
Well,
think.
fuck you too.
It's the same as cigarettes, though.
Cigarettes at least grow from the fucking ground.
Yeah.
Hexchrome was some South Park weirdo laboratory that they put onto the goddamn market. Nitrate is NO3, nitrogen and 3 oxygens. Nitrogen forms triple bonds, which means explosive capacity of energy yield in a very short amount of time. Nitrogen. It also causes blue baby syndrome. So there's nitrate, that's NO3.
Yeah.
We test for it in water. It is a byproduct of your fertilizers. So farm country, you use nitrate as a fertilizer, but it gets into the water, your underwater ground systems. For a community well, that means more than one household sucking off the same hole of water in the ground.
Everyone's getting the same nitrates.
You're required. That's one of those tests that you're required to do.
Yeah.
Was for nitrate. This is one of the tests I learned how to run, to the point I get hired by a nuclear laboratory, design their detection system, and I win an award for it
Hell
from
yeah.
the Germans.
Hell yeah.
I was so fucking good at it, the Germans were like, holy shit.
It's hard for them to be like, holy shit.
I know, right? So that's why, like the Metrum Award, that's why we talk about that, because it was the science, my lab practice alone. Like, they had already made their machine. I got such a high correlating coefficient out of their machine. The Germans like, how the hell did you do that? Because what it did was turn a parts per million machine you can sell for $8,000 into a parts per billion machine you can sell for $80,000. That's why the company Metron was so interested in my lab practice. What I was doing, from the salts you use in the eluent to the dilution factors you use on the balance, was so precise, the Germans did not even achieve it themselves. That's why that's a big deal. The United States government was so dedicated, because I was a pagan as a teenager, even. But because I'm a child soldier, they were like, that X-ray is a pagan, goddammit. She's not going to let us have Jesus. Their social war on women and men to just be slaves, like the feudal state teaches.
Sorry to interrupt you. Do you mind sharing which deity you worked with?
DUD?
Deity? When you were doing paganism?
Really what happened is I saw the movie The Craft.
Okay.
With Fairuza Balk and Robin Turney. And I learned about the elements: earth, air, fire, water.
Yeah.
That these are things that you can dedicate time to. I see this movie, and then I go to my local Barnes and Noble, and I go like, occult. I learned that word from the X-Files, the TV show, the X-Files.
So you look for some like witchy books.
I didn't even know I didn't know it was witches at the time. Well, I learned that kind of from the movie The Craft. But then I like, that's a movie. I want the real thing. So I go and look for books.
Mm.
What I find is books on candle casting with Wiccanism, moon goddess, silver candle, sun god, gold candle, and the different energies that go into different colors of candles.
Yeah. I'm familiar with all that stuff. My
Yes.
mom was super into it, which
Yeah.
is why I was
Yeah, so
interested.
I was raised in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
And they don't like that.
Yeah, exactly. And they actively, like in their For the Strength of Youth pamphlet, they're like, witchcraft is bad. That's one of those things they tell
And
you.
it's so funny they're against it because the Catholics burn candles for saints, and
Yes.
it's the exact same thing.
A single candle is a prayer. In the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, they'll anoint people with an olive oil that's consecrated. Candles also are consecrated for the energy. So you're focusing, and I learned about meditation as a teenager.
Mm.
One of these books, I get 2 books from Barnes and Noble. One talks about candleology, but it also talks about the ×3 law of return.
Yeah.
Whatever you cast comes back ×3. Now, okay, so don't be an asshole. Like, it's really simple. I get another book. So I get 2 books. I remember the candleology book more. And so what happens is I start, and they say, one of the things in this book is it says the earth has an energy to it. One day, I'm like, so I want to feel this. They say, you can perceive this energy. I'm walking out, this is out by University Point Circle over in Illahee. And I see there's a patch of ivy. And I'm like, let's say I can do it. And I put my hand out and I feel a heat coming off of plants.
Yeah.
This is the energy of earth, the element. I realize I can perceive energy from earth. And I'm like, to me, this is a miracle. I'm like, there's something here that is not Jesus. It's not your Elohim. It's not that. Just the hymn version of Elo is basically what they called it. That's when I'm 17 years old. So I start doing daily meditation like this book says you should.
Yeah.
30 minutes a day of meditation. Can you maintain a thought?
Were you doing complete silence or like background music? Or...
No, I was doing silence because I'm hiding this from my Christian family.
Okay. So that's really deep thinking if you got nothing to distract you.
Yeah. And that's what, and I do work up to it. Like, and they say it'll take some time. You have to practice it, but I do. I have to hide from my family to do this. Now,
that must be very distracting to have to like hide something you're actively trying to relax.
Yeah,
to
like
do.
I go into my room, I turn the lights off, but I have to hide it from my family because they'll take my candles, they'll take anything.
Yeah.
Just like in the medieval times where they're burning witches' tarot cards and things like that. They're like, no depictions. I don't even know what tarot cards are at that point. I learned when I am 40 years old about tarot. I'd seen it on some signs around like tarot readings, but I didn't know what it was. I didn't even know that they were cards. I'm now a tarot whore. I have a bunch of tarot shit. If we can look.
I have a deck that I was gifted from my aunt, but I've never actually tried to read seriously.
Really?
I've read the little booklet that came with it, so I
Mhm.
know some of the cards,
Mm.
but I've never tried to do readings.
It's impartial. It's a form of science
Mm.
because you shuffle it. And then, so basically you have a question in your mind and then you pull a card. If it's upside down, that means...
I know it's the reverse of the
yes.
meaning, yeah.
Good job. Thank you. It's always cool to see someone knows it.
And I know the basic 3-card pull, and I know the build where it's like the one on top, the 3, and then the one on the bottom.
That's called, what I call it is clarification. So if you pull a card and you don't quite understand it, pull another card and those two together. In science, it's called independent calibration verification. In science, you are required to, so you have a standard. You buy that from someone besides yourself.
Yeah.
The ICV, the independent calibration verification, is another manufacturer of the same molecule or atom. When those two agree, only then is it a legally reportable result.
Okay.
Tarot, I also have oracle cards. They're like
I
tarot.
think when you dropped it, you fucked it up. I can't get the USB port to go into there.
God damn it. I have a battery if you need it, and it's charged. So I can plug it in.
I tried to plug it in and it won't go in. Oh, maybe I'm just dumb.
No, it's slightly off centered.
I like that.
My bad for accusing you of breaking it.
You're good.
This chat got
Tray beer and tincture. Oh, what they said. Ooh, hey, it's working.
Milky has dyslexia.
I think Loki is cool. Loki knows how to hurl a popkin at a road sign. Yes.
What's
I
up?
miss science. Sometimes like people ask me like, "What's my ideal job?" I was like, "I don't know if I'd like food work."
Nobody wants an ideal job. Nobody wants to work to live. Get out of here.
I
That's your
love
job.
food work is so fun. It smells good. You get to see people.
I've worked in food. I guess I'm jaded because I did fast food for a very long time. So it's like
You don't need to do it forever.
it's not. I suppose it would be different if it was like a chef in a nice place, but slinging burgers.
I've done catering. I've done fast food. So I've done private parties. I've done fast food. I like both. Both are a strategy game to me. The fast food is like the front lines of our society, but not government. You'll get people. One time this guy came in, I was working the front register, and he was a beggar. He's like, can I, like, he basically didn't have any money. I just bought it myself for him. And because I worked out, I like know the sales. So I can get the
Right, you can get that little discount.
Yeah. Or I just know what to get. He had this pit bull with him. We have such a failing society. We have people begging for food.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, this is wrong. We need to do better.
Something I also don't like with the help they do give is the requirement for people to be sober, because it's a lot easier for people to get sober if they desire to, if they have a stable environment
What's
to do
sober?
it in.
Sober to me is bullshit. Somebody's lie.
I think what it means is free of things that are actively negatively affecting you. So like, I'm not sober. I drink, I smoke pot, I do all that. But I would consider myself sober to someone that is spending every waking moment actively trying to get a specific substance and not living for anything else.
So the female orgasm solution is oxytocin. The oxy crisis. Anciently, you guys were collaborative and women were providing this for men because they don't have an oxytocin pump on them.
They do. They just don't like it when you touch it.
No, it's not oxytocin. Only the females produce oxytocin of our species. The male orgasm solution is not oxytocin. Actually, I have not seen an academic paper. I need to research that. It's not like you have, there's a certain chemical in the brain, but it only lasts like 2 minutes. Oxytocin lasts hours.
I thought dopamine was the chemical.
Serotonin, dopamine. Serotonin is a ingredient that comes through the female. So there is there's an organ that you can find the output of in between our legs.
Yeah.
Upon loving, like Hathor, the goddess, it produces this oxytocin. The Council of Nicaea, so this is your Roman Empire. Julius Caesar, 50 BC, that's when he attacks Egypt and wins. What happens? So he does siege warfare to Gaul, Europe. He cuts down the Sahara forest, turns into weapons of war like you see on the movie Gladiator, and hurls it at anyone who worships a goddess. This is where your war against goddess starts. There's a little bit of a blip back in ancient Egypt, and that was the pharaoh Akhenaten. Akhenaten is the pharaoh right before Tutankhamun. So the one we all know about because they found his shit intact, the boy king. His predecessor says, you can only worship Ra, Zeus. I looked it up. I noticed that there was a bunch of shit that was the same between the Egyptian, the Greeks, and the Romans. So there's three civilizations that are polytheistic, multiple gods, believing in even. And Akhenaten is the only time I have found, this is the 18th dynasty, the only time in ancient Egyptian that had monotheism, and it only lasted 6 years. What happens?
That's a short period.
Yes, it is. We are so fucking stupid. We have let monotheism rule for over 2,000 years. The ancient Roman Empire was majority Jupiterian. I checked. I was wondering, what the fuck happened here?
What is Jupiterian?
Zeus.
Okay.
Jupiter. The Roman name is Jupiter.
Okay.
The Greek name, how you pronounce it in ancient Greek, Swaphites. What happens is you have a bunch of people who are doing violence for resource. These are your Moroccans. 1,000 years into the ancient Egyptian empire, they meet these blacks. They're like, holy shit, because it used to be jungle. They are space travelers who built a colony. And then they found these black people. And they're like, hey, at first they were like, hey, you are just a normal person. You're like the kangaroo. You're like the monkey. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing shameful about that. But what these people were was Jehovite.
Mm.
They see pregnant teenage girls. Like, who said you could use her that young? Use for oxytocin. They're like, Jehovah say is my right. Like, kill the Jehovites. Those are your white ancient Egyptians.
Mm.
They saw pregnant teenage girls and just started killing and killing because they're too young.
Yeah.
Their bones, the pelvis breaks. It damages the female to have a child so young. We see this currently in your fistula cases. So the ancient Egyptians were like, holy shit, like they freak the fuck out to see a pregnant teenage girl and just start killing in mass. That's where you guys get the term fatwa, holy war. Fat, a big, wa, child, wa, baby, fatwa.
Mm.
So they see pregnant teenagers and don't give a shit what your opinion is and just start killing.
Yeah.
Okay. That's where you get your term holy war. Later, in your Christian empire, you guys think it's holy to kill witches. That's what they start calling holy war, crusade. Your, how do you put it? Your people who think God's a man only, your Nicene, your Roman Empire. You had the Roman Empire. Julius Caesar. It was called Etrusca.
Mm.
These were lovers. We just love each other. Etruscans. You look at their pottery and their depictions. Women are fully esteemed. It's not until it converts to the Roman Empire, Ro-man, a man that is searching for resource because he's beat everything in his own territory. Violence for resource. If I want this, a can, moved from this place to this place, I have two options. I can get you to do it, or I can do it myself. If you don't want to do it, I have to beat you until you're willing to. That's lots of calories, very expensive. Violence is expensive,
yes.
Calorie-wise.
Yes.
Violence for resource is expensive to Gaia. You have to eat 5 times the grain to get one thing done. Constantine the second would rather rape a woman for a year, have her go through childbirth, produce a child, so that at his table, another separate human being fills his wine glass, rather than just him do this. This is your Christianity, feudal state, medieval ages. Your society went through an era where this to the human uterus produced a poured beverage. This is your Jesus, the Jesusites of this world. And they took over by the latitude and longitude because They use the human uterus so much. 11 kids. Look at all these fine sons. You just raped a woman.
How many times to achieve it?
Yeah. So all those calories used. Why were the
So you can
animals?
pour your own wine.
Yeah, I was like, I just want to pour my own food. Like, I don't want to wait for another person to do it. I want to do it myself. And that's the Minervan, the goddess way. The Jesus way. So Jesus is Jupiter, Zeus. Jesus is Zeus. At the Council of Nicaea at 325 AD, a bunch of people who have cut down a bunch of trees and killed a bunch of people that believe in goddess say, we now pronounce your new god, Jesus Krishna. Jesus is the Latin way to say Jesus. You see this spill over into the Spanish language as Jesus.
Yeah.
They produce the J sound. Ha. Jesus. Jesus. This idea that God's a man only is the single biggest destructor of grain, of trees, all over the world. And the United States government is supporting this with their tax-exempt favoritism of male-only deity theology. Chapter 77 of the United States Code, so this is USC 18, Chapter 77, slavery. This was established over 200 years ago. It is illegal to promise resources later, the promise of value later for free labor now. That means you're not compensated on, at the very least, a weekly basis.
Okay. I was going to say every job is slavery then, but if it's at a weekly basis, then that.
If you're compensated for your time. So when you look at the movie The 10 Commandments with CCB DeMille, Nefertiti. So what a common misconception is that Moses parted the Red Sea. I can tell evidence-wise, the Red Sea was parted at a time when there were chariots in it. There's a bunch of coral formations that are not normal for the genetic nature of that coral. That coral.
So they grew upon something.
Yes, exactly. And what happened is, like, coral doesn't grow at a right angle. What happens is that coral grew, it was a right angle and coral grew over it. This is called the Strait of Aqaba, where these very unique coral formations are found. It is a gentle slope in the Red Sea from Egypt to Saudi Arabia, now called. We didn't know about this until the 1960s because they mapped it for the submarines. They were the typical depth of the Red Sea is about 2,000 meters. This particular land formation is 800 meters. The submarines have to go up and around it to get through to the Suez Canal. So from a religious point, we didn't understand that a human being called Nefertiti literally raised that much water and they walked through upon dry land. It's an infrared beam that's gravitational, that has heat to it. It dried the sand.
It's evaporating it so that they can get through.
Yes. What happens is Bithia, the mother of, kind of the adopted mother of Moses. What happens is Seti, the pharaoh, says, I want to kill baby boys so that I don't have to be supplanted. He's a wicked man. And he kills a bunch of baby boys right in front of their mothers. Bithia is the court of the women. She's like, stop! And they didn't listen to her, this Egyptian army. So she's like, okay, you're not honoring this portal of knowledge. And she has to adapt. She finds Moses, who is in a basket. His mother's like, I want you to live. I give you to the water of the Nile. Bless him to live, because they're killing the boys.
Right.
Bithia finds him and says, I take one in. I will raise. And she finds his mother with Miriam, the sister. She says, I am not nursing. Can you feed him? But I raise him because they're going to kill him in your hut. And she's like, yes, I will do this. So the mother of Moses, the physical mother, gives her sweet baby that she loves to the sister of Pharaoh, that he might live. he is considered black, but for some reason, he is white enough that they don't notice. It's like Alex Haley, Queen,
He just happened to be light skinned.
enough to pass. And she's like, so she wants to get the blood hex off of the house of her. She doesn't want the karma. She's like, I didn't know they were going to kill a bunch of boys. And when I found out, I told them to stop and they didn't do it. That's their fucking karma. So she believes in community. So she takes in one of the Hebrews.
Mhm.
The reason they're called Hebrews is because they believe God is a man only. He brewed it. Not she brewed, not
brewed
they
it.
brewed, he. So it's got so it's this wicked male only deity. Moses is raised with the knowledge of Pharaoh's court. That means metallurgy, science. Before the Library of Alexandria is burned by Julius Caesar in 50 BC. And that's your Anno Domini. That's your Roman sistering of numbering your years. She raises him with the knowledge. The Hebrews, why are they whipping them? Because the men don't work. You look at South America, like how the men sit around and watch sports while the women do all the work. That's Hebrew. That's God as a man only. Bithyia is the court of the women, which is esteemed higher than the court of the men because we are the water of life.
Mhm.
Our brains being alive creates this oxytocin solution that the men ants are drinking off of.
Okay.
She raises him. Nefertiti, at 14 years old, finds out what happened in the generation before, the blood of the babes.
I was just checking my percent.
I know, I get that too. I have a battery if you want to hook it up.
I might actually need to do that.
That's
soon.
okay. I will go get the battery, and then I can also get some more food and booze. I have booze right here.
We could also move to the trailer if that's more comfortable.
Do you
for
want to?
Whatever's okay
Whatever's
with you.
more comfortable for you.
Oh.
I can do either. I have blankets and shit. If you like it out
Let's-
here, that's fine.
Let's go hang out in the trailer.
That's cool. I like that. Let's do that. Awesome.
If I'm being bossy, let me know. I don't want to
No,
boss
you're
you
not being
around at
bossy.
all.
I'm trying to it's actually kind of interesting to have company. Most of my friends have been murdered, so
Well, I will not be
The
murdered
government?
anytime soon because I will murder them first.
that's good. I believe in that. I was like, if you need help, like I have a bunch of knives. Fuckers. Like, you guys want to call me the Joker's daughter, the one he liked? Like, I already know knives, asshole. All right, so let's move our camp. And this happens a lot when you live outside. It's
Yeah.
just-
Just keep on moving.
yes. All right. I'm old. It'll take me a bit to catch up.
Do you want me to wait?
No, you don't have to wait. Go get the sun.
We're moving to the trailer so that I can plug in my phone. Are you enjoying your pacing around in podcast time? Sure.
Sure.
Are you lying to me? Where's that cord at? The one that was not working with your phone. Thank you. There's also a box in there somewhere.
box?
Yes. What you smiling at?
Nothing.
Can't figure out how to operate my hands. Where'd you go?
Show you how to drive. Like just drive the classical clutch. I don't know how to drive.
Relax.
What? I just want to go. But I can't figure out how because I can't get good enough service to even look it up.
I found my box. You okay?
Yeah.
Oop, she's not in here. I don't know where she went. Lord. What's up, chat? Thank you for joining, guys.
I know I'm old. I'm 45 years old. I realize I've been through so much shit. There's a reason I'm on disability, is because I have been so fucking plagued by the goddamn government. Oh shit. Yeah, please, make yourself at home. Oh shit. All right, good, thank you.
Oh, it's all good. Don't worry. Where do you want me to set this down?
Where? Oh, just on the counter's line. It won't hurt anything there. We can make whatever food we want. So you can see some of my books over here. Yeah, it's like you can sit here, you can sit there, like whatever. It's like make yourself at home.
Rotate this the other way.
Like here's my booze cabinet. Like, so you have Smirnoff. See what I got in here? I've got some Holland vodka. This vodka's from Holland.
Oh, hell yeah.
Monarch. I've got Skull. I've got some Ukrainian if you want to feel poor.
If I want to feel poor, that's why I got this.
I've got some Ukrainian vodka over here. Show it! Show the booze!
Show the booze!
So here's some Ukrainian vodka. And then we've got Everclear. I use Everclear as an extractant.
For the tincture.
Yes. So, and don't, like, if you're going to do an extraction with cannabis, use this stuff, the 190 proof. What happens is water has an active state called equilibrium. This is where water pulls apart into two separate entities, hydrogen and hydroxide, OH. So it's H2O, H OH, ding, ding. Water is constantly doing this. When it's like this, it will attack any molecule. Hydroxide has an electronegativity of 3.0, while hydrogen is 0.1. Who cares? This motherfucker will get you. The movie Fight Club, where they talk about how you'd rather be burned with a acid rather than a base, because the electronegativity of a base is so much more powerful, it will destroy way more things. Sodium hypochlorite bleach. This is NaClO. Na, so that's, actually I can show you. And actually, if you want, while you're here, if you want to watch, so this is the Egyptian hieroglyphic alphabet.
Oh, it's a stamp set. Awesome.
Yes, so you can, like, that's where I found it when I was a teenager. I saw the movie Stargate with James Spader and Kurt Russell. And I already liked the movie The Ten Commandments because I liked the shiny dresses. Like, I was a kid. I was like, she has shiny clothes on. And I liked it. I am mermaid. And so I was attracted to that movie. So when I saw the movie in I think it was 96 or 97, I was like, holy shit, there's more. So I go to Barnes & Noble and I find this. And from this, I learned. I went and got it off Amazon. There's a pronunciation key in here.
Nice.
You can learn to pronounce the ancient language. That means you can read and write in it. And that means a word that you can hear. So that's how I got into it as a teenager.
Oh, yeah.
This is your, and I'm actually looking for a new copy of this because this got wet a little bit, so some of the pages are sucked. So this has the color plates. This is your pre-slavery afterlife teachings.
Okay.
When they weren't trying to use an afterlife to get you to just make grain for the Lord, this is what they were teaching. This Egyptian Book of the Dead is also called the Papyrus of Anai. So, and you can read this all you want if you want. I also have a bunch of cool books over here. You have
got a lot of National Geographic.
Because what happens is the United States government started using the internet to change facts available to the public.
And these are more reliable.
Because they're not just electronically editable with no chain of custody.
Yeah.
The Boris Yeltsin, have you heard of him?
No.
Okay, Boris Yeltsin was the guy who overthrew with Yanovev and Vladimir Putin the Soviet Union.
Okay.
That's when it stopped being Soviet and started being the Russian Federation.
Okay.
What they did is they basically built a new government, but they did not have a Supreme Court like we have. They were letting the states independently govern themselves. And if you wanted to join the Russian Federation, you were welcome to. There were 13 countries that were part of the Soviet Union. This particular country, the Soviet Union, was born in Hey, come on in.
Troy's creeping up.
Come on in. There's a seat right here for you. So your periodic table.
I'm being a boomer and not showing everything again.
I have to figure out what section. I have an actual printout of the periodic table.
Bring any drinks.
Yeah.
What do you want?
I have got some sodas for you. There's water in the car. I got the water jug out.
I have water. I have Tang. I have many different beverages.
Oh, thank you.
You have root beer? Dude,
Do you want a root beer?
Oh, yes. Hell yes. Thank you. Dude, fuck yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
What booze would you like me to put in it? Do you want? I have Ukrainian. I've got Monarch. I've got Holland. I've got Skull.
Troy's not a large drinker.
I'm not a big drinker.
That's okay. Would you like anything?
I'm still sipping on my Smirnoff.
Okay.
I appreciate it, though.
That's cool. Thank you. I'll try some Monarch today.
I'm gonna go keep watching my video, but thank you. I was
Enjoy.
just inquiring about a beverage.
Feel free to come back whenever.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
Cool. I like your speaker. Fuck yeah. I just have small
yeah,
speakers
it's
and pouring
huge.
shit.
It's got like a bass booster in it too, so if you're standing real close to it, it sounds like a rave. And if you get more of them, I guess you can like connect them in Bluetooth, so it's like a whole
Can
stereo
you?
system working together.
I'm a poor person. I've been a poor person my whole life, so
I only got that so I could hear my music over the machines at work. If
uh-huh.
I did not have to do that, I would not have dropped the money on it.
I know, right? It's like so they
I
don't
can't
like,
do headphones because I might get run over by a forklift.
yes, exactly. It's unsafe in the work environment. What I would do was like, so when I was working factory, Utah, year 2020, I would just put one earbud in so I could learn. But really, what we need to do is not have places that forklifts will fucking cut our goddamn ankles off.
Yeah.
And put your fire alarms down by the floor, like those flashing lights that say fire. Just put them down by the floor, because that's where the oxygen is. Like that's where I can know to crawl out of your industrial fire complex. Also, so I have eggs, I have lunch meat, I have chicken. I can make us a chicken bacon Swiss pizza.
I ate a one of those cold gas station cheeseburgers while I was waiting for you to wake up.
Okay.
And I also
And
had a
I'm
bag
so
of beef
sorry.
jerky.
I set an alarm for 9:30.
You're okay.
Okay, thank you. Like I'm sorry.
I showed up earlier than I thought I was. I showed up like right before 10. It was like 9:58.
I felt
And
bad.
I felt weird just sitting in the driveway, so we just went to the park down the road.
And that like whatever makes you feel comfortable. The down that way is Hood Canal, and that's where the ballistics missile submarines and now SSN, so that means silent submersible nuclear. So we have a submarine base, and it is so close that sometimes, like when they use a loudspeaker on the base, I can hear it here. It's just right down there. So that's a submarine base. Over at Keyport, that's the Naval Undersea Warfare Center. They build the torpedoes that go into those. That's where my stepdad worked. Over in Bremerton is the Puget Sound Naval Shipyard, and that has these hulking beasts of steel. That's where the headquarters. It's one of the larger shipyards in the world for maintenance, actually. We don't really build them here, actually. There was a submarine. I'm sorry, not a submarine. It was a boat that was built in the last two years. So this is during the War of the South Pacific. The United States decides to build a boat, and it looks like a secondhand navy. First world countries will build naval vessels, and then when they get shitty, like almost broken, they will sell them to second world countries like Argentina. And hopefully people recognize it's a different motherfucker. What the United States government started doing in the past 2 years was building boats that look like secondhand navies, so they can pretend to be.
So they can pretend to be someone that bought an old boat.
And then bomb someone and start a war. So I'm the Joker's daughter, the one he liked. So that means I spent years with this guy, but it wasn't in some atrocity cell. They memory wiped him in 2000. In February of 2000, he can cross-cut a steak. I'm like, you have a job where you're moving your hands, but you work for the NSA. You're an assassin. But he is memory wiped. So basically what happens is they kidnap him off the road in Tennessee in 1969, 70. By the time he's in the year 1970, they have administered a drug called midazolam. It is also known as Versed.
I'm not sure what that is.
Versed, you see it used for the proletariat in dental work.
Okay, so it's like a sedative or a numbing agent?
It's an amnesiac.
Amnesia, okay.
When you drink it, it's temporary. When you inject it, it's semi-permanent. Basically what happens, and this happened to Vladimir Putin, Joel Basto, Jeff Basto. Jeff Basto, a piece of shit, make no mistake.
Do they just have like a permanent memory wipe mass in their brain, or what?
So that's what they thought was going to happen. What happened is after about 10 years, the brain will try to repair itself. It takes 2 years to grow a neuron. They basically thought it was going to last forever. Like, I got a perfect assassin who will kill whenever I tell him to. And they thought that was fun. Hitler, so this is your World War II fucker. He basically finds a hut. So Hitler's youngest general So there's a Navy SEAL, the 700 Club. So he lives down the road, actually, he's over in Polsbo. And I've talked to him and his woman.
Mm.
She is very cool, Lady Rouse. And she starts telling me about the shit she learned from him from the 1970s Vietnam War. Bush started Vietnam, the war.
Mm.
You honestly expect me to believe that us, this nuclear power, there's somebody in a fucking jungle hut that's a problem for us? No, you're just
It's
using
them poppy fields. That's all they want.
Yeah, yeah. But what they're doing is they're doing what's called a polygamy cycle, killing young men so that old men have multiple females to shove their dick into and not give a shit about. So that is your Christian culture, your Jesus culture. Now,
Yeah.
Bush is openly a Jesusite. He has been openly photographed with the leaders of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. So I know this guy's a Jesus motherfucker. Vietnam was never an official declared war. Typically, so what happens is executive. The executive branch, per their documents, has the authority to wage war for 90 days only without congressional approval.
Who is to stop them after said 90 days, though? If
The
they're just going to
Capitol-
go ahead and do it?
That's what the Capitol Police are for, is to go and kill the fucker in his chair over 90 days. They're supposed to have some balls and spine to them. They don't. They
Right.
just wave in the fucking Capitol now. That's the purpose of the Capitol Police, is to restrain the executive branch with the legislative branch. That's the president of the Senate. What happened is these fucking retards over east, the vice president is the president of the Senate. This is supposed to be a competing force to the executive branch, which now they're just sucking each other's dick. So it's no longer an actual opposition. I kind of want to find my notebook here. I have a notebook. I sketched this on. Maybe just draw it again.
Do you mind if I smoke a cigarette? Or should
No,
I go
please, no,
outside?
please,
Okay.
please smoke a cigarette.
I don't want to be rude. That's why.
No, it's not rude. I love the smell. Like that just came with it. Okay, I believe. Please smoke. I love it when people smoke. Hikimoto smokes a pipe. When I was working with him in a nuclear lab, sometimes we'd sit in his truck.
I think he's been off the pipe for a while. I think he's just doing the little vapes now.
Yeah, I know. I loved his pipe. It was so cute.
Did he have one of those like wooden Sherlock?
Yes, he did. And he made his own blend, and it smelled so good.
I've heard of people mixing like mint and whatnot in their tobacco.
Mint is actually grown here in Washington State.
I know. I've grown some before.
Have you?
Yes. I have a small little herb garden.
Nice, good, very good.
I got some onions and some mint.
Because I've got some ginger root up there. I want to see if I can turn into something.
Hell yeah, dude. Just get it wet and stick it in the ground.
Mm-hmm. After the onions and the garlic out there, I just left them out. I got really tired.
All the roots are really good. You just stick them bitches in the ground no matter how old they are.
I know, right? Valerian root. That's where you get the drug Valium, is derived from valerian root.
I didn't know that.
Yes. I'm an herbalist.
I have a bunch of the What to Eat in the Wild Without Dying books, but I don't know a bunch about herbalism.
Herbalism, the reason, so Chinese, so we have, if you've ever read the back of your shampoo bottle, it will say sodium lauryl sulfate or something like that, USP, or USP sodium lauryl sulfate. That means United States Pharmacopoeia. What that is it's an organization that has gone through your chemicals and said, if you want to use them, this is from your Food and Drugs Cosmetic Act of 1938. What happened is your Rockefeller piece of shit. I can get you. Hold on. I can get you a couple. Hold on. Hey, I got something for you.
I was just gonna ash in my old can.
That's all I was gonna say. Okay, that's fine. I have bottles if you want to, if it's easier for you.
It's all good.
Okay, cool. I just want to make sure you feel at home.
I just like to contain my mess. I don't like making a mess in other people's places.
Well, Ash also like, are you gonna burn me down? I was like, oh, whatever. So your 1920s, your roaring 20s, basically you had a huge, combined with Henry Ford's industrial line. So this is your Model T Ford. So this is the first time in your civilization. It used to take 12 hours to put together a car. With Henry Ford, it took 34 minutes.
So that's a quick car.
Yeah, so we get addicted to, and Bill Gates talks about this, our hydrocarbon addicted. Like we have to, like I was watching a trailer for, that means a promotional video.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Because the word trailer means like
it means like so many things.
You feel like it comes afterwards, like, but it's beforehand. Like I don't know why they call it so. Like I don't know why they call it that. It's a documentary series he's done on Netflix. Nettie's a friend of mine, Nettie, and dude, let's do some Belio 4 booze.
Some what?
Belio 4.
Belio 4?
Belio is another star. It's an orange star. One of the abilities I've developed is the ability to talk with people from other planets, other star systems. We're not the only star system in this universe, goddammit.
It's ignorant to think that we are.
The Saturnians, I love it. I love it when the bee comes inside. Hi there. You want some honey? Okay. Hold on, I need to get him some honey to eat.
I'm not wearing anything that smells good, so he's not going to come chill with me.
I give honey back to the bees.
Hell yeah.
So what I'll do is I'll just put it on the
There's a little dollop there for him.
Mm-hmm. And they can get it. In the summertime, typically, when I work outside, I'll have a bees will ride on me. And I will just walk around with bees on me. I've only been stung 4 times. I lived in the year 2023. When it comes, part of the year. In August, typically, late July and August, I have a cot and I'll just drag that out into the yard and sleep under the open sky. So that's high summer to me. That's like I'm excited for that. But what I did in the year 2023 is I nested myself next to a ground bee nest. So there were tons of bees around me.
Were they mad or were they enjoying the salt?
Oh, they enjoyed it because so I was working at McDonald's that year. And
so they were getting plenty of salt with you hanging out there.
Oh yeah. I would take my leftover
I meant more by sweat.
Huh?
I meant more by sweat because bugs like to land on people to get the salt out of their sweat.
Really?
Yeah.
So
that's why butterflies like to land on people.
Really? Because they like the salt?
The salt from the sweat.
So they're looking for...
He's a loud one.
Yes.
Real talkative.
This is would be a North American bumblebee. He likes to be seen. He's like, I am a hero. I'm a person. He sees that you are telling people, and he wants to tell people, I'm a person.
He's a friendly, big body bumblebee.
He is. He looks like a North American bumblebee. So that's one of the larger ones. The animals were so distraught and destroyed by just about our nuclear age. We tore apart forces of the universe and didn't give a shit about anybody around us. Those Bikini Atoll tests, they were literally burning whales to death. I had a vision. They're like, help us! These beautiful animals. But our war machine just says, I want money. I was like, I'm just killing you motherfuckers. Welcome to genocide. I don't care. And it is completely fucking correct to kill your species. So a Buddhist said it. I think it was about 4 years ago. A Buddhist says, we are undergoing natural calamities. By April 2025, there'll be 1,000 of us left. That's what he said. It's like, and I believe it. I've seen the destruction of over 5 billion people. The southern hemisphere has been burned. I can tell it by 3 and probably more ways as I find out more. So I live outside. This is the rainforest. In, I think it was May of 2023. So I'm sleeping outside at this point. It's red dawn here. When the sun's coming up over there, it looks red. I'm like, now red dusk is very common when you have fire season.
Yeah.
Not at dawn.
No.
Not in this wet of an area.
No, usually it's super dark and dusty.
Yeah. 3 days in a row, the sun comes up and it is red looking. I'm like,
There was really bad fires that year, wasn't there?
not
No.
that bad. We have bad
20
fires. We've had bad fires for 4 years now, and it's still not red dawn. Red dawn is a huge indicator something big has burned. South America. I hit it with a solar flare. I'm like, fuck your poverty. So that happened. So then I hit Africa. I'm like, you guys aren't going to free the women there. Fuck you. I just burned your whole fucking civilization down there. And that's fine because ash is healthy. It will regrow.
Ash is very good for plants.
Yes, it is. You looked at
That's why volcanoes are so fertile, even though they burn all the time.
I know. I was like, thank God you're here, Ash, old buddy. So I saw that. Then I saw the unprecedented financial crisis of the Vatican. This is your Holy Roman Empire. You've been selling your shit to the poor people, Southern Hemisphere. I burned them all. You don't have money coming in anymore. So your financial crisis is because your customers are dead and dead faster than they made more kids. Then I also saw the price of Colombian coffee, record high. You're out of Colombians. That's why it's a record high. So I can tell a solar flare got the Southern Hemisphere. We're just one speck in the cosmos. It's not irrational to think that in our new age of our planet has shifted, this is the mass extinction we fear, just like Godzilla, King of the Monsters teaches. I was like, hey, we are dying, okay? We are on an orb that is circling a star that has a different gravitational field.
That's not mine. My horn is
it's over there.
my horn is disconnected from my alarm because it's very sensitive. It goes off all the time.
One time, it was me and Remy were talking out in the yard, and a car starts driving the road, but I can see the lights on it flashing. So it's a car, the horn is going off on, the car alarm's going off on, the lights are flashing, and the horn is honking, and it's rolling down the road. I was like, someone stole the car, and it's still going off. So Rumi's like, is that car stolen? I'm like, yeah, someone just ripped off the neighbor's car. There was a group of, they looked Hispanic to me. I was just sitting in my car on the side of the road, just being to myself. And they all park in front of me. 4 dudes get out of a car and start walking towards me. I'm thinking like, I've got a knife on me. Do you know how many fucking dog fights I've been in, you asshole? The dog is not okay. That's a memory. That means I attacked a canine and won. And these retards come up.
I'm plugged into the extension cord. That's why we came in here.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Oh, there's a thing here.
I was just letting you know.
These 4 dudes get out and start to come to me like, what the fuck you doing here? I'm like, the fuck you are. That was the house over there, and I killed them all. I just cast upon them, and I have not seen them since. Not on the fucking road. There's no more cars going down the road with the horns going off. They were just a shitty group of people. But most of the people on that side are like normal. They're just assholes. I was like, welcome back to ancient pharaonic warfare.
Whoever drives that Charger is an asshole. He was on my ass all the way up here.
Those are typically cops or people who want to be cops.
It wasn't a Charger, so it wasn't someone, or it was a Charger, but it wasn't a cop car. So it wasn't a cop. It was someone that wanted to be a cop.
Cop.
This close to my bumper the whole way up here.
Every now and then you see someone like that. I stomp on my brakes is what I do. I'm like, let's fuck, asshole.
I just got that car. I'm so
I know,
afraid of
right?
crashing it.
I was a young mother. It was the year 2002, and I was out in eastern Washington, out by a nature preserve. It's that far out there. It's right by the Columbia/Snake River. The Snake River empties into the Columbia at that particular point in our geography. Some assholes on my bumper. I stomp on my brakes like, fuck you, asshole. Shit. And he fucking ran away. It turns out, in the year 2010, I'm just being a whore. So I have kids. So, yeah, I know, right? I was like, hell yeah. I end up going out. So my kids are gone for 2 weeks because that's what family law says they have to do. So while they're gone, I'm like, I might as well do something with the time. And I strap on my slutty clothes. It's a black corset and mini skirt, fishnets, and heels. And what do I do with a corset? The knife goes here.
Yeah.
Your ID and your debit card or your cash go
in the
here.
armpit. Yep.
Mm-hmm. This is your car keys. That's your lipstick or your smoke pipe. And over here is your cell phone. That's your purse.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm doing at that point. And it's a black corset. And Chris Kyle, Robert J. O'Neill, and Chad Littlefield show up at this club. They're not famous at that point. This is 2010. But I remember there was a couple of dudes who saw this. I ended up dancing with this one guy. And then I don't want to fuck you, okay? I watched you move for a little bit. Your dance did not impress me. You go find someone else to fuck. And so then I went to my table with my girlfriends. I didn't know them that well. They were just nice enough to let me hang out with them. I don't have a lot of friends because I was kept in a child slave labor camp. And so I'm there. And this guy follows me back. I said, I'm done with you. Okay. So I go back to my table and I'm drinking my drink.
Yeah.
It's me myself. And he comes over and he puts his arms around me. And
that's not creepy.
Yeah, so I told him, like, get your hands off me. I told him, he's like, don't be like that, baby. That's what he physically said to me. So I realized.
You mean he wants a knuckle sandwich?
That's exactly actually, he got a hospital ride. He almost died.
Fuck yeah.
What happened is, he's like, don't be like that, baby. I'm like, okay, so you can hear me. I told you to get your hands off me. That is all you needed to know.
Yeah.
And I'm like, last chance. And he doesn't let go of me. And I put my drink on the table and I beat the shit out of him. I get him on the floor and I'm wearing high heels. I didn't realize he was this badly injured. After I kicked him for so long, over and over again, I remember looking over and a couple of guys going, so a couple other guys saw this. I was over there, just happened to be there. The tall one saw, like, sluts beating a man. Because this Navy SEALs, what they do is they'll go into a club and they'll play a game called Find the Slut. Get the slut. Find the sluttiest dressed girl there. Okay, whatever. She's like, she got it all on. Tube top, miniskirt, fishnets, heels, you can even see them. So that to them, like, that's the slut. Robert J. O'Neill finds a chick with like a tank top on and jeans, but then Chris Kyle finds me. And that's the shit I have on because I like that shit. And so that slut, that's the slut in the club. I don't mind being called slut. Like, you're welcome, motherfucker. So what happens is Robert J. O'Neill is super tall. And he can see things that other people can't because he's so tall. He's like 6'8".
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, he's a big fucker. And I know his family. His uncle, Mark Meyer, is Dakota Meyer from the new book, The Way Forward by Robert J. O'Neill and Dakota Meyer.
Okay.
So I ended up talking with him in the year 2013. He sent me photos of him labeled Alan Meyer. And that's what he told me his name was in the year 2020. So I still have this photo. A voice comes to me and says, Robert is Alan. I'm like, this guy broke my heart in 2013. And so what I do, like, I put it up next to Robert J. O'Neill from Twitter. And I'm looking at these two. The smile lines are the same. And all the gaps in between the teeth are the same.
Have the picture?
I have it on my laptop, actually. I have one.
I
of
set
them.
it up over here.
Oh, good. Yeah, I can get that out.
Sorry, I'm just nosy.
No, please do so. No, I will happily produce this photo. I had two photos. One was inside. And I could tell by how much of the ceiling was in the photo how tall this guy is. What happens, I find out. Where is this? Because I was just referencing this book earlier. So that's Americans. That's Chris Kyle. That's one of them. That's his friend. Here it is. He has a bunch of photos in here of him. This is one of the guys that shot Osama bin Laden. You can see how tall he is in relative other people in the photo.
Yeah.
He's much taller.
You said this guy shot Bin Laden?
Yeah. Look at the front. Look at the front of the book.
I'm gonna read the quotes on all these pictures.
That's fine. Take your time.
He is a suave-looking gentleman.
He's a cattleman. So is Mark Meyer.
He looks like a cattleman.
Mark
Fucking built like
Meyer.
one.
And that's why this book's important. One of the reasons. All right. Mark Meyer. So Chris Kyle is also a Navy SEAL. This is the memorandum version. Mark Meyer's a family friend. From when I was a kid, I know this guy.
Is he the one with the gun?
No, he's the. Oh, actually,
He's the-
does he have a gun? He's the not Chris Kyle. It's him.
Oh, the old guy. Okay.
Yep, the old guy. He is 12 years older than Robert J. O'Neill. His mama's name for him is Alan Meyer. He's a Meyer. They look at like every year I've seen Robert J. O'Neill on Twitter. He looks more and more like Mark. I'm like, I can tell you're related. Mark Meyer's a Navy officer who gave me a tour of the USS Michigan. That's an SSBN. And I think it was the year 1997. My brother Errol gets a job working on his boat as a boat hand. What happens is my brother Errol, what he did is put a quarter into the Kitsap Sun paper thing and took all of them out and was selling papers on the dock and was keeping the money himself. Mark Meyer is like, he realizes this kid's stealing. He is like, you don't need to be doing that, okay? Do you need a job? And he offers him a job on his boat rather than call the cops. He goes, but I need to meet your family. Errol comes to me and says, there's a guy coming over for dinner. Like, and he owns a boat, and because I love the Navy from when I was younger. And interesting. Okay. I just got a notification that someone wanted to talk to me. I was like, oh, okay. Let's do LG2 imports. See if I can find this guy's. I have a leftovers from a phone. And that's where I got these photos. You can see the original, or the as much as I can, the source for that particular. Actually, I wonder if I can just search for it with a name.
While you're doing that, I'm gonna see.
Yeah, please do so. So look at downloads. So I've been collecting evidence for so fucking long that I have literally over 1,000 files to go through when looking for stuff. So it takes me a little bit to find it, but can I find it? It's like any other audit.
They said camper Wi-Fi is cursed, so I'm not sure if that's actually still running or not, but I'm gonna leave it. It says it is.
Okay. I've been starting to experiment with my abilities to manipulate electronics psychically. So when, basically the NSA was like, we don't want Lauren broadcasting, so they would make it just always be a circle so it wouldn't look suspicious. I started forcing with my mind, and I noticed over the past week and a half a much more consistent Wi-Fi. Not only did I blow up the USS Defiant, which is a boat that was built in the Nichols shipyard up in Whidbey Island, in the past 2 years, it looks like old Navy. Unlike you guys have Aegis class. The Aegis class is an anti-stealth technology, basically. It's stealth. So radar technology works on 90-degree angles. That's how it finds shit. The Aegis class does not have any right angles on it, so you can't see it with radar. So that's what all your newer Navy stuff is. You basically had a moratorium put on it in the 1980s. Like, we have so many boats, we're just tying them up because they're so rusty we can't use them. Basically, Ronald Reagan's like, we don't need this big ass war machine. It's George H.W. Bush. He's the war machine. He's the warmonger. He's the one that wants all these things. there's a class of submarine called Seawolf. This is the SSN 21, 22, and 23. They only made 3 of them. I'm scrolling through my files to look for this guy's photo.
You're good.
So Mark Meyer worked on submarines for 27 years. Here we go.
Okay.
Same guy.
Yeah, that's the same guy.
Yep. So in the year 2013, I start having phone conversations with a guy named Alan Meyer, who says he's a cattleman from Montana. If you look at that book, look at his pictures, Butte, Montana. He's from Montana. His pictures.
I just saw it too.
Yeah, like you see where he is
Yep, in
playing
Montana.
sports
Yep.
as a teenager is Montana. Because he is not the only one of this crew. I recognize Chris Kyle from several points in my life. He's over here in Silverdale. His name's Jeremy. Because Jeremy has an accent. You don't hear a lot of Southern accents here in the North.
No.
Kyle is from Texas. He talks like a Texan. What's his name? Louis Gilbert. Who the hell are you? Same accent.
Yeah.
Joel Basto, the Joker. When I was in college, I built a pepper bomb and I'd light it from the other side of the door. He'd come out. Say, what the heck, Joel? I'd say, I saw him run that way. He'd say, give me 5. Nickel a bomb. He'd go bomb that guy. That guy comes to me. Give me 10. Pretty soon the whole floor is bombing each other, and I'm making out. He starts the war. This is the Joker. He's had a memory wipe, and his memories are coming back in these weird, distorted. It's neural damage. He's trying to say what he remembers, but it's unclear to him because of the amnesiac damage. Like I said, Vladimir Putin was the same way. If you watch documentaries about the Soviet Union, the ones who were born early, like 1938, hala, 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 they talk like that. As you have more and more interaction, we used to just be people in a field. Now with our entertainment and our huge amount of communications, we have our own human faces talking to us. And that means an acceleration in our language. We say more syllables per minute over time. So I analyzed Vladimir Putin's language. Do you see we're not expansionists? I watched a news conference with him. How does he speak normally? The syllables per minute. He learned Russian in the 1980s. He's born in 1952.
So where was he at then?
He got a memory wipe in 1980 and learned how to speak Russian in the 1980s. I also looked at pictures of him on Twitter that the Kremlin put up. So when he shows up to a meeting, he has papers and things to write with. I looked at the things he's writing with. The pens he likes are from the 1980s. I remember them from Marvin Simpson when I was in the 1980s. And he also uses a red pencil to underline stuff. People now typically use highlighters. He also wears a digital watch. People of his generation wear face clocks because that's what they had when they were kids in school.
Yeah, that's what they're used to.
Digital clocks are from the 1980s. He learned to wear a watch in the 1980s. He learned to speak in the 1980s.
So there's clear
He
signs
learned
that
to write in the 1980s. You had an amnesia event and then learned to go from there. There's too many indicators. He speaks Russian like a 1980s person. I can tell that someone memory wiped you. Joel Basto, the Joker, had never, when I'm just visiting with him, because he's just Grandpa Joel. And I've never seen someone cut up a potato and turn it into French fries. You're from the Vietnam era. You've never seen someone fry a potato. You're a memory wipe. I can tell. So I can tell someone is dealing a chemical that causes amnesia intentionally and then using those people to achieve government results. You're intentionally causing amnesia.
To what end? What is the plan?
When you are a child, you believe in Santa Claus.
Of course.
What happens is you have an adult male body that is now ready to kill. Hitler's dog training, your modern dog training comes from Adolf Hitler. He's the one that designed it, him and his generals, to train dogs to attack.
That makes sense because I've seen dog trainers speaking in German quite a bit.
Really?
Yeah.
That does not surprise me.
In the dog training videos that I've seen online, it's usually someone speaking in German, so that makes sense.
I didn't know that. Thank you for sharing that. We have a Hitler type mentality. So you had some levels of German in your World War II, because this is when you get the idea that putting people who star people who believe in a god and a goddess, or at least male and female equality like the Jews do, putting them into gas chambers and killing them. This is when in your civilization you see this. World War II is where it starts. Hitler's youngest general started the Central Intelligence Agency, also known as the CIA. Basically, we were one of the countries that took in war criminals. Argentina did the same thing. Like you see, I saw some photos of this basement that had a bunch of Nazi regalia in it. And it was in Argentina. You see this in the movie Oppenheimer. He was I think it was a congressman named Strauss. And he starts hunting men, women, prominent employment.
Can I tell you something slightly off topic?
Go ahead.
I knew one of the local bands from Seattle, and one of the girls, she was the singer of, are you familiar with Deadbeat Blackout, I believe is what her band was?
I don't know that name off the top of my head. But there were lots of bands in Seattle I didn't know.
My ex used to hang out with them, and we went to one of her house parties, and she gave me a replica Nazi sword.
Okay.
And I ended up giving it to someone else that was in the music scenes. I have no need for a sword. I don't have anywhere to display a Nazi sword.
I know, right? I was like, you can have
I got rid of it. But I thought that was very odd.
I was like, how do you even fucking have this? Like, first of all, who's making replica Nazi shit? Who's dealing it?
She's a very interesting person. She claims she is anti-Nazi.
Okay.
Dead and true, but she's like, their uniform though, that uniform was clean. I'm like, come on.
Like uniforms. So Mark Meyer, so he was a weapons officer on the ballistics missile submarines. That was the job he had when he hired my brother to work on his boat. He comes over for dinner. He's like, I need to meet your family. So he comes up, we have a family. Very unusual. But ever since the movie Hunt for Red October, I loved the music. That was the first album I bought with my own money, was the soundtrack for the movie The Hunt for Red October. And the second album I bought was Stargate, the music for Stargate. And then Errol my brother brings home a Navy officer. I'm like, holy shit. Like, to me, this is like the celebrity moment. Like, holy shit. And he says, that's Mark Myers. He says, like, I can get two of you. Errol says, two of us. Mark's going to get two of us, of us siblings. He's going to take two of us. There's 5 of us. And he says, you can get a tour of the ballistic missile submarine. And I'm like, if I'm very, very good, maybe I can be this, because Errol's going to go, obviously. There's one other allowed. And I hope it's going to be me. And I'm like, I don't talk. I'm very attentive. But then they say Cassidy gets to go. That's my shitty younger sister. But then my stepdad, he's like, I can get us all on. He just puts in a request. He works for the center, Keyport.
Oh, yeah.
So we all get to go. I get to see the boat that is on the movie, The Hunt for Red October.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, dude, man, I'm big and shit. and you go deep places. I've been fascinated with the ocean. I remember I was when I get moved back up here when I'm 12 years old, and I'm on the Washington State ferries, and I see open water, and I'm like, is that the Pacific Ocean? And there's somebody on it's on a Washington State ferry, and they're like, you have to go a couple different places before it's the Pacific Ocean. I'm just getting used to the water again. And so by the time I'm 16, I have a church leader named Laura Peterson, and she's a Navy captain's wife. He was captain on diesel electrics. That was before your nuclear age. And I hang off every word this guy says. I think submarines are super cool as a teenager. And I finally said, where's the place where if I go straight, it is Japan? We have an activity where they drive us out to Ocean Shores, Washington. And for the first time, I can feel the water. I can smell it. I can feel the waves, the energy of
Is
the
that
waves.
where if you go straight, you get to Japan?
Yes.
I've been to Ocean Shores.
Yes.
Interesting.
There is no land obstruction between that and Japan. That's the Pacific Ocean. That's the largest body. And I go back there over and over as a teenager. I will load food in the car. I have a 73 Dodge Dart, and I put my foot on the gas. What ends up happening is I get in the water for so long, I get hypothermia. And I do it over and over because I want those waves. What I end up finally doing is I get a friend named Tiffany Lopez, and she's willing to come out with me to the shores and then drive me home. I'll drive there. She drives back because I'm so tired. I'm passing out in the back seat from the hypothermia. I'm like, I don't care. I still want the waves. And I do it. So I do that for a couple years. And I have pictures of me at Ocean Shores or Fort Stevens, which is Fort Stevens is 8 miles south of the mouth of the Columbia River south. So it's a freshwater pathway that's obstructing the Alaskan current that slides down the west side of North America.
Okay.
And it's warmer there. Ocean Shores has a weird green foam on the waves. I've also puked there several times. Turns out, as I think 28 miles out to sea, the underground river from Hanford comes out 28 miles to sea from Ocean Shores, Washington, and the current brings it back in. This weird green foam at Ocean Shores is the byproduct of the nuclear contamination.
Lovely.
That's where it hit the ocean.
Lovely.
Just like in any sort of forensic investigation, we find out later where it happened, when it happened. The nuclear pollution of our rainwater for the Pacific Ocean, Hanford alone, one place, 2/3 of the leftovers of the nuclear arsenal of the United States was at Hanford alone. When those tanks blew out, it blew into this underground river, and the river just carried it out into the ocean. They say starfish wasting disease. 1/3 of the starfish are dead, and we don't know why. It's nuclear waste that's on the bottom. Starfish is just what we can see. It's shallow enough, and they move slow enough we could actually monitor them. We haven't seen even half of the nuclear waste death of the sea life from our nuclear waste.
Because it goes elsewhere and we don't ever see it.
It's like the movie The Abyss. Underwater is a harsh environment. We breathe air, motherfuckers. We didn't have cameras. The first time in our civilization that we even photographed the bottom of the ocean was from the nuclear submarine Nautilus. What they did is strap these strobe lights and cameras onto the bottom of these nuclear submarines. They didn't need to come up for air like a dolphin, like the diesel electric submarines. They were true sharks. They can stand there for 6 months. What makes it so a nuclear submarine has to surface? Food. They can put 6 months of food on board. That's all they can fit. That's the only reason they have to come back to shore. For the first time in our civilization, We see Roman vessels, Roman wrecks, Greek wrecks. We start photographing the ancient shipwrecks of our civilization. Not until the 1970s did we get these circulated a lot. 1950s and really 60s, you start doing more nuclear power. 70s, by the time you get to the 1970s, you've converted your Navy into the majority nuclear power. Nuclear, it's a clay-like material. Now, we saw this in the rupture of the Fukushima power plants in Japan. How nuclear power works. So I had a nuclear tech from the Navy explain this to me. It's a cylinder of a clay-like material. That is the protons that's left over from our nuclear testing age. What happens, they put this in a chamber and they have water continuously running around the outside of it. That is what cools it down.
Mm-hmm.
This heat is a big steam engine. Like if you remember saw like the movie Titanic.
Yeah.
Where you have like 50 dudes just like throwing logs into these big fires, and it's creating heat that's boiling water, and the pressure from that boiling is contained, and that's what's shoving your pistons up that create the torque for your propellers. Steam engines. Nuclear power is a fancy steam engine that doesn't need logs. That's on all the time. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. And it wasn't something we planned. We thought that it was free energy. It's not.
Right.
We bombed our entire planet into a neutron bridge, 18 times the size of the distance from the Earth to the moon. Basically, after the year 2000, so we used to be alert. What happened in a neutron bridge? Neutrons are electrically depressive. They're the cooling unit for the electron and the proton.
I'm not yawning at you.
It's okay. No, it's okay. If you want to take a nap, like there's like find a place to have a nap. I believe in nap time myself.
Because I work all night, I slept all day yesterday, so
Good for you.
I went to bed when I got home at like 8, and then I slept until almost 11. Thicky was on when I woke up, and I've been awake since then.
Oh my God. I was like you, like I don't know what your energy levels are. I am like basically this almost dead. Compared to what I was 10 years ago, I'm almost dead.
I'm pretty low energy. Troy is a lot higher energy than I am. I'm not pacing around all the time. I am pretty stuck in one spot all day long.
And that's cool, like to be able like actually, and you can see it in the daytime here. You see these plants out here?
Mm.
Do you see how much of them are brown as opposed to green?
Are they supposed to be like that or dry?
No. This is the leftovers of your nuclear age.
Mm.
It's called blight. What happened is bacteria grows in acid. Your protons make acidic rain.
Mm.
You rained an unnatural hydrogen-based environment on all your plants. They became something the bacteria evolved in faster than the plants did because bacteria grows in acid, and therefore cellular division happens, and therefore evolution happens.
Mm-hmm.
Every time a cell divides, what happens over a year is that whatever lived is whatever breeds. That's what evolution is, Darwinism. You can look at the blackberry patch over there, and there's a rosemary bush as well. I clipped it trying to make a rosemary binding. And when I clipped it, I realized the plant was dead underneath it.
Mm.
Just the tops of the plants, which is what you can see from the air. So when you're starting your vegetation calibrations, like hey, how many of our plants are alive? When you just look at it from the air, all you see is the green tops. When you look at it from the side, you see 70% of the plant is dead. That means not producing oxygen or food.
Yeah.
That means that's area that's taken up by 70% dead. We have so many plants that, like, I fixed the rain. That's why the batteries are burning. Because batteries in their positive, negative nature. That's how you get battery juice, is you're pulling from one side of your ion charge to another. we started using 4 times the carbonate negative charge to pull. Now that I've corrected the rain, the stuff you've loaded into your batteries chemical wise is pulling 4 times harder than it needs to, and it goes too fast and it blows up the battery. They burn. So after, and this is quite recently, Hurricane Helen came through and, like hurricanes do, produce rain.
Right.
I had recently fixed I put a hydroxide in acid plus base equals salt plus water. So with my abilities, I put hydroxide into the air for the rain to fall through. What happened is that it finally made a particle, something with a defined edge, in the rainwater itself. And then I used my abilities to move that particle and throw it off world. Because basically I've been doing surgery on Gaia. See, I'm trying to think, when did I start? 2021 is when I realized how bad it was, the nuclear age leftovers. So I start using my abilities to move antimatter and heat. I started throwing hurricanes in the year 2020. Basically what happened is I start conversing with the element of air.
Did you destroy Thicky's family home?
I don't think so.
Thicky's family home was destroyed in a hurricane a couple years ago, and that's having homing issues recently.
No, he is like someone fucked up over there. 2020. So what happened is that I'm just communing with the element of air, and in the year 2020, yes, air is cool, and I didn't care where the storms were going. I just wanted air to express itself. When I was 10 years old, so this is something I haven't told a lot of people. When I was 10 years old, I was walking down the road and I feel a gust of wind come, and a voice comes to my mind and says, "You did that." And then I'm like, oh, so I do it again. Okay. But then I don't feel the gust of wind. And I just figure maybe it's just my imagination. And I keep walking. I'm 10 years old. It starts blowing about 4 or 5 seconds later. I realize now I was just miscalibrated. It takes 4 or 5 seconds to get a wind gust. It's not this electronic, it just happens right now.
There's a little bit of buffer time.
Right, yeah. You have to build up the pressure. You have to pull that energy. Okay. So that's at 10 years old. At 17 years old, I'm feeling the energy of the earth. I can feel at least 2 elements. I am drawn like a psycho almost. Not really a psycho, but an obsessed person to the water. I get up here and I'm 12 years old. I'm like, where is the wave place on the movies? Midway, Tora, 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 Final Countdown. Where is the waves? Finally, at 16 years old, actually, I'm 17 years old, I see it. And it's these big, it's like the movie Castaway. It's these big curling force of water. And I run in with my clothes on. It's cold, it's hard, and I want more. I drive there over and over again as a teenager. I get a car, I'm off to the races. So as a teenager, I start worshiping earth, water. I already worshiped air. Fire, I get when I'm a teenager. Find gasoline. I start pouring it on the ground and lighting it on fire and running through it. I'm like, it's energy.
Do you do any symbols with it, or is it just lines?
Well, I just wrote my name in cursive in it. Like I had to do something. So I wrote my name. I burned my name in there. I was like, this is mine. Like, is your name on it? Yes.
Yeah.
That is mine. And so I love gas. When I was 12 years old, I'm in Burley, Idaho. And they said he was my grandpa. He has a 10,000 gallon tank of jet fuel. And I can reach the spigot and there's no lock on it. I climb into the garbage pit and I get a big bowl. It's like a mixing bowl, so I'm just thrown away. And I start filling it with jet fuel. I get some garbage from the garbage pit and I crunch it together and I pour the jet fuel on it. I find a lighter in the house. start lighting fires. But I enjoyed it. And so I'm 12 years old at this point. So at 10 years old, I'm looking at air. At 12 years old, I'm looking at fire, the element. Because what happens is I keep like bowl after bowl, hours playing with gas. And it's jet fuel. So this is a class 2 or class 3 hydrocarbon. And I'm just throwing it from this bowl. So it's big balls of fire. What happens is the neighbor, Rasmond, calls. Like, there's a bunch of explosions at your house. And I'm like, damn it. So my mom comes out and goes, Lauren, are you playing with gas? I'm like, I can stop. I can stop. So I find just the element of fire, energy, heat. I love it. By the time I'm 17 years old, I'm buying gas at the store and just writing my name in cursive, lighting it on fire and running through it. I'll do the burn barrel. We didn't have garbage service.
So you'd burn the trash?
We would burn some of the trash, and the stuff that you couldn't burn, we would put in bags. And when we got like 5 bags, we'd just make our own run to the dump.
Okay. My grandma used to do that.
Yeah, a lot of people did.
Yeah.
I've been telling Remy, like, he's like, I don't really need this garbage service. I'm like, just start burning your garbage. And which is cool with me. At least it's ash and not going into a landfill.
Yeah.
And you can take that ash, you can spread it upon the earth, so it's more uniform, and it works as a kind of fertilizer. It works as a fertilizer,
Yeah.
kind of.
When you do the like cardboard and the paper and whatnot, I wouldn't use ash from something that's like you're not supposed to burn it, because that will fuck your shit up. Yeah.
Plastic, I was like, so when I do burns, I'll try to get as much plastic out of it as I can, because plastic burning. When I was a 10-year-old, I lived in this apartment complex, and I would get a lighter, and I would start straws on fire. And I'm holding and I'm watching it.
I did that with mechanical pencils as a kid. I would like melt them over a candle. I have a scar still from when I was a kid where a little bit of plastic got me from when I was burning a mechanical pencil.
I have one on my leg, actually. I think it's on that leg, actually. It's drops, like it's a drop that's on fire, so it looks
really cool.
Yeah, you don't see that on movies a lot, these drops of fire. So I'm watching this, and it's warm and it smells like crap because it's plastic burning, and it dropped on my leg. I'm like, shit. So as a 10-year-old, I'm burning stuff, and like I can tell that I like fire.
Yeah.
Of course I don't tell anybody. So the hell did I do that? And then so that's when I'm 10. By the time I'm 12, I'm burning jet fuel for fun. Later that year, I am combining ammonium, vinegar, baking soda, and bleach in different combinations. It makes what turns out to be chlorine gas, which I'm sniffing. I'm like, shit, that hurt. But like when I get rid of the liquid that's left over from the production of this gas, it kills the grass that it's on. I was like, oh, sorry, I didn't know I was gonna do that. Because I'm just at that point, I'm just a poor kid that's crawled out of Arab, Utah. Have you ever been to Salt Lake City?
I have not. I've seen the movie SLC Punk, but I don't think that has anything to do.
There's a movie.
Yeah, there's a movie SLC Punk. It has it's a very silly movie. It's a very silly movie. It has the guy that played Shaggy in the live-action Scooby-Doo movie.
Okay.
And he has like a fat mohawk. It's a bunch of punk kids. He's like, "Fuck you, mom and dad."
I get it. Yeah, I was like, "Dude, man." I'm looking for my knife. Normally, I have it in my video. You are a bra strap that has not adhered to wherever I told it to. The Salt Lake City, Utah, looks like an infection when you look at its street system. It's just straight line. It's like Las Vegas. Over and over again, it's these straight ass lines, and it's just grid after grid. It looks like an infection, and you can see like crawling up on the mountains. There's 2 sets of mountains in the Salt Lake Valley. Over here is the Ochre Mountains. These are pretty small. That's where the Kennecott mine was. It's one of the largest. It was one of the largest open pit mines for copper. So for all the world, I think it was number 3 as far as size goes. So fairly large.
Yeah.
On the east side is the Wasatch Front, and it's 3 granite-looking mountains. And between these 2 sets of mountains, you have a valley in between here. There are so many fucking people in this shithole. You can hear the noise of the car. I can close my eyes and know what direction I'm pointed based on the sound of the cars bouncing off. Like these poor animals. Any animals in the area, like, there's always some fucking noise that isn't someone eating or even mating or even having a friendship. It's so noisy. We're the noisiest neighbor on the planet by far. That's why I like the destruction of the shipping lanes. I have taught the animals how to kill so many boats. China no longer relies on ocean trade for goods. I read a report recently that showed a huge influx in the past, really, year and a half, really the year, of Russian goods into China because it is land-based travel. Basically, the animals that are taking my advice have fucked up so many boats. They're just floating at sea now. I told the United States government, retreat to shore. You're too noisy. Fucking obey. Nay, embrace my oral command. They didn't do it. I taught the animals how to fuck up the boats, and now the boats are destroyed.
That's why the whales are getting them now.
Yes, I taught the whales. I'm like, you guys breach and get the small boats, and then the tentacle people can get pieces of those boats and shove it into the propellers of the other ones. Sit there and wait for the repair boat. The Kraken are big enough they can take the repair boats.
Yeah.
I have now conquered our shipping industry. You can see on globalmarinetraffic.com what shipping, if you have any sort of historical, like even from 3 years ago, where the boats were, compare that against now, they're just drifting now. The majority of the Pacific Ocean is adrift. They did not retreat like I told them to. I said retreat or die. I'm just fucking your boats. I have already fucked their boats. They are just drifting to death now. The ocean is a very large place.
Yeah.
I don't know if people understand how big it is. It's so massive compared to your land-based. What is it? 70% of the world's surface is water, ocean. And they thought, and the United States Navy was super fucking stupid. You literally walked in with your propellers to a graveyard of 4,000 boats and thought the same thing wasn't going to happen to you. You are arrogant and you have been destroyed. The majority of the United States Navy, they basically went to try to save the captains of these boats, their people, and just their boats got fucked. They actually put a depth, do you know what a depth charge is?
No.
A depth charge is, it looks like an oil barrel. It has explosives in it. And the
Are those like the little mace looking things they got on chains hanging from the bottom?
That's a landmine.
Okay.
A depth charge is launched from the surface, and its detonation device is a depthometer.
Okay.
So when it gets to a certain depth, pressure, so barometrics, then it explodes. The Kraken know this. But like they've seen these for World War II, we were depth charging.
Do you think they can manipulate them?
Yes, they can. So I was in biological warfare. The Kraken, they're like, Lauren, pick up the coronavirus and throw it back, which I did. I hooked a lethal to it and threw it back. Black mold, 50% mortality rate. Stop your fucking overpopulation. The Kraken saw it. It might go boom. It might. But I get it. Going through a coronavirus, pick up coronavirus, throw it back. A Kraken swam up to a depth charge that had not been detonated yet. Picked it up with its tentacles, got it to the surface, and threw it back to an ocean boat. They're like, shit! This barrel comes sailing through the air and smashes on their deck. They're like, shit! I'm like, that's right. You stop bombing animals, you bitch. And now they are running away. I checked, I think it was about a month ago, maybe a month and some change ago. I could see a huge mass of boats running for shore. It was over in the northeast quadrant. I'm sorry, the northwest quadrant of the Pacific Ocean. It was like they were all scattered upon there, and then there was just a huge wave. Basically, they started running for shore. They start talking to each other on their radios. Get the fuck out! There's something here that will kill you. And 10,000 ships run for the Russian coast because this is my ocean. I govern it, United States. The United States is starting to learn that there is a pagan force that is bigger than all their fucking militaries combined, and it is me directing it. There's nothing wrong with being a telepath that has above universe range, instructing animals how to defend themselves from our species.
Fuck yeah.
That's what's been going on for the past, trying to think, 3 years. 2021 is when I started interacting with the Kraken. I was working at Wendy's, and basically what I was doing is I'd work the breakfast service, but at the end of the breakfast service, we'd have leftovers, and I would taste it, and I would project it mentally to the Kraken.
So they can enjoy it also.
Yes. And so that's how I developed a relationship with the Kraken.
Okay.
And then I realized the United States is firing upon animals. You are so fucking arrogant. You think you should fire? No, fuck you. So I taught them how to use their tentacles to fuck their propellers because that's their weak point. Historically, in naval warfare, you go for the rudder. If you have a cannon, you shoot for that thing because if you don't have that thing, you can't steer this boat at all.
Yeah.
It also so happens that the captain's quarters are. I need to free this guy. He's been crawling around there for a day and a half. I'm like, clearly he does not know how to get out. Oh, it's okay, you don't have to get out. Because this guy.
Oh, I get stink bugs in my they like to hang out in my shower window. Every year we get one hanging out in there.
All right, so there you go, Bo. All right, there you go. You can get out now. Okay.
I haven't done mushrooms in almost 2 years because the last time I did mushrooms, a stink bug happened to be in the room and I hallucinated bugs all night.
No. Okay, that's wrong. That was like maybe that mushroom wasn't the best then.
That's because I saw the bug and I was like, oh shit, I'm gonna freak out because there's a bug, and then I saw bugs all night.
Bugs. Bugs are different. I didn't have a lot of bugs put on me in the Child Soldier Army cell. What I have a problem with is bars in my mouth. So I've had enough bars put in my mouth.
So you're not a gag girly.
I am a gag girl. I gag very easily.
I meant the instrument.
The instrument gag.
I was making a sex joke.
15 ball gags.
15 ball gags.
Man, Vladimir Putin. So in 2023, I start taking satellites. And I can show you actually radiation blister scars. What do I have right now? These are healing radiation blisters.
Okay.
What happens is when I access the energy from the magnetic wavelength, and this is about 2,500 nanometers to 3,000 nanometers. Visible light is 400 to 700 nanometers. So what we see each other in this, that's energy. We can see it with our eyes. Infrared is 701 nanometers, 700 nanometers to 2499 nanometers. That's that range of energy. That is what makes galaxies. Magnetic is above that. That makes galaxy clusters. It's such a big energy source. It will pull black holes across the universe to itself. Black holes, infrared. That is how they rotate, and they are stick straight. The XY axis sucks in while the rest repels. Magnetic energy cells, that's their shape. Galaxies are typically very straight lines, the stars that gather into galaxies, because, and if you can see it, it has detonated. Are you familiar with the, what's going on in chat?
Oh, I'm not even paying attention to that. I was just seeing if Troy texted me because I got a notification.
Make sure he's not like lost someone. I'll show you for food.
Gina, why did you text me asking about nipples? Gina from my chat sent me a text to my cell phone to say that you should take your nipples out. I don't think you should do that on live stream.
I do. I've been banned on. See, I lost one channel to nudity. I didn't realize anybody cared. Basically, the idea that like so men can lecture with their shirts off, but women can't because we have boobs.
For some reason, the vessel in which you feed your offspring is inherently sexual, so they're like, that's not allowed.
Here's this. I have these scars on my boobs from a breast reduction when I was 25 years old. And hey, that's cool. So it's called a free nipple transfer. So it goes there and here.
Okay.
And it's on both of these. And so I was like, that's a medical thing, but seriously, but YouTube is like that's sexual. Like just because it's a boob, a breast, even the word breast to me is retarded. It was like, don't we both have those retards? Like, you're welcome. Like the feminine form has been worshipped since ancient times.
Right.
You have Hathor, Aphrodite, over and over again. You have the feminine form that is honored. Only in our Jesus as God mentality do we shame the female form. I was like, I am so glad we're all almost dead. I was like, you don't deserve to live as a species. Like, you need to accept our retards. But they have not yet.
Why would they? It would hurt their ego.
Yeah, the thing is, their ego's unsustainable, though.
That is true.
It's not going to work forever. I was like, you can see my boobs if you want. So this camper, I'm like, have you ever seen the movie Spaceballs?
Yes.
So this is where Lone Star and Barf sit. And somebody was asking about the design of the camper. And I was like, I sleep in the place above where Lone Star and Barf sit. Like, that's how I can articulate to you what a camper is. I've been outside for 2 years. And then I'm staying in here for 3 months. That's my goal, is doing a confinement for 3 months. And it's weird because the birds sound different.
Yeah,
there's another human.
Yep.
Hello, hello, human. There's a chair here if you want it.
Okay, I was gonna let you know. I was finally, now that my phone is genuinely charged, gonna walk to the park.
Okay.
Because I've been waiting this whole time because my phone's almost dead, and I don't want to walk with my phone dying.
I see.
It takes about an hour to walk there.
That's a long time. What time is it?
It is. Like, do you want to ride to the park or?
It's already 2 o'clock. Well, eventually, we gotta head back to the house because it takes like forever to drive there.
Yeah, like almost 4 hours.
Yeah.
I got tunes. Like,
Ooh, let me know then. I don't know.
Okay, like make your guys' travel plans. Like, let me know what I can do to help.
I need at least an hour to not ingest alcohol to be able to drive. I just got a slight buzz, but I don't want any chance at all to get in trouble for driving.
But was that already your plan?
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Whatever.
I will stop drinking then. Can you go put this in the trunk?
Yes, of course.
Thank you.
That's pretty.
That has a battery in it?
Yeah, it has a battery in it.
How long does it last?
It says 12 hours, but I had it playing in the car on the way here and it almost died.
All right. Does it have a converter?
I'm not sure.
A converter. Actually, I might have one I can give you. Because it plugs into your cigarette charger, but it turns into an electrical outlet.
Oh, nice. I have one of those big ass batteries at the house. I didn't think to bring it. That's like almost a generator that you can plug it into. I thought it advertises it lasts for 12 hours, so I didn't think I would need it.
I was you're full of shit to me. So I don't even use it anymore. You're welcome to it. I just have to find it in my car somewhere. But that's what I would use. It will convert, and actually I think it has 2 electrical outlets in it. So if you can put it into your cigarette charger.
Oh yeah.
Plugged in, you're welcome to it. I don't even use it anymore because I heard they would drive. I haven't driven over a year myself.
Do you enjoy driving?
I used to, not so much anymore. I used to like it, but I was homeless on and off since 2019. Basically, what happens in 2018, a bunch of supernatural stuff starts happening to me, and I don't even know what it is. at that point, I was part of a Christian religion. I was just raised in it, and I really didn't do a lot with it. Like, basically, I showed up to church drunk before. I was like just fucking some Navy SEAL on the weekend, and I show up, and I'm like, I realized like during their sacrament service that I smell like booze. I'm like, oh shit, like, oh no. And so I basically I run out of there so that no one smells me smelling like booze. Like I'm like that weirdo in the back that doesn't really give a shit. And then after I understand how wrong they are in the year July 2020 is the date, my mind is finally liberated. I find one word, it's called Brighamite. This religion that I was raised in, they say, we're the only true church. Well, it turns out the roots that they claim, there was more than one true church. And they're just saying they're the only ones now. I'm like, you're full of shit. The thing you say makes you legitimate. These people, the Rigdonites, also have claim to, but you don't acknowledge them. Like you're just another shitty organization that thinks that anybody but you, because that's what I've realized about these really kind of psychological slave cults that claim Jesus or a male only deity. They do it from infancy. They tell you don't even look at anyone else. And they're always anti-feminine. They have no high priestess. They have nothing that says goddess. And then when you go to back before Christianity, before your Holy Roman Empire, that means your major government structure. You go before that, there's female deities all over the place. This one Roman Empire says God's a man only, and even our current tax code, the surname, that's the name of the sir. The man only. You know, anciently, women were paid to be wives. I've said that a lot of times. We kept our own last names. What happens is when you come of age, you choose your last name, and it's your mother or your father, whoever you identify with most. And that's fine. Sometimes it's a father. Sometimes it's a mother. There's nothing wrong with that. These are both people who love you and want the best for you in the form of freedom and your expression. Anciently, at 12 years old, you entered into what basically a genderist place. And basically it's girls' camp. They're like, hey, does anybody have any hoes? Or, hey, have you seen my face rag? Anybody seen my face rag? I have a face rag. So like we talk about the Muslim women and they wear shit on their faces. The shit on your face is not the subjugation. It's that shit on top. That big long headdress that comes down to here that's uncomfortable as fuck. The reason for that anciently is so a man at any point can pull on you, put you down to the ground and stomp you because he doesn't want your opinion. So it's that headdress that comes down really big. That's the oppressive part. The enabling part is a face rag. Like you can't, like I'd show you my bare fucking face. That's where that got started. But what it is basically a hoodie that zips in the front. So you can take it off if you want to. You wear whatever you want underneath that. You just put a face rag on, put a hoodie over it, and that's called the Bene Gesserit. Burqa. There are the four major types of the Islamic headdress. Chador, which has the whole face out, which is the nun habit. So the Jesus oppressor clothing. Jesus oppressing you clothing. The niqab. Niqab is the slit in the eyes. Ninja. That's how the English pronounce it. That is for my comfort. Like, remember how the Islamic, my right to wear. It comes from their ancient practice of female police. Like I'd show you my bare fucking face. Some guy who thinks girls are just for the raping and killing.
Right.
They've been fighting this war for 4,000 years. And so that's niqab. Burqa, that's the one that has the grate over the face. That is Bene Gesserit, ancient female police. We had women, not men, policing us because a penis is a weapon inside a jail cell. So Chador is the one that has the whole face out. That's your oppressive one. The other ones are a combination of the safety of the female combined with the nun habit of the Catholic Church, the Holy Roman Empire, to appease a bunch of men in the streets of sorts. Do you believe in something besides Jesus? Do you have tarot cards? Do you have runes? And they would just kill you or burn you publicly. This war has been going on for 4,000 years. It started when the Moroccans, so these were the Jehovites, they happened to be black. It was basically a section of black people adopted the Jehovah. Women is nothing, for the fist only. Women are for procreation, men are for recreation. That's where that got started. And okay, I'm watching this bug over here. I was like,
Just having trouble figuring it out.
I know. I was like, I already gave you a way to get out. If you want to say that, it's fine, but you should be able to get out.
It enjoys its prison too much, just like
Thank you, specimen
There's an
observation.
alpha prison over here.
I like that. The Thikimoto show. So I was just doing my own broadcast, and then this guy named Thikimoto starts commenting on my broadcast. That's how I found the Thikimoto show. Is he started commenting on my broadcasts, and then I'm like, oh, I didn't know he had a show. I found out probably about a month later. I was like, oh, so I clicked on him. I checked him out. Found out there was a show, so I joined. The Thikimoto show is my biggest contact with your civilization, apart from the Paulsville court system. I live out here. I see hardly any people. The majority of my time is not with the human race. The Thikimoto show, specimen observation. So I've done nuclear. I've done pharmaceutical quality. I've been a mother. I was a child soldier. So then I find this show called Specimen Observation, and I start watching. I realized, and I do, I know so very little about this species.
Yeah.
The average of it. I've been a scientist and a linguist for so long, and most of my friends have been murdered by the United States government. I just thought maybe they didn't want to talk to me anymore. They're dead. And you wouldn't, like when you're holding a funeral for your child or your friend, you don't know to go through their phone contacts. So basically my friend stops calling me. They're dead. I don't understand it until really a couple of years ago. Over 20 years ago, they're killing people that know me. Bush. So I've gone over 2 decades, thinking that I didn't know why my friends didn't want me anymore. They were just being murdered.
They were just dead. Yeah.
That means what I have learned about your society is not your society.
Absolutely.
It's one fucking serial killer and his groupies following my friends, killing them. If they could have killed me, they would have. But then I find the Thikimoto show, and he has all these different clips of people that are not from this government-controlled environment they wanted me in. It's much different than I thought I was. I'm 45 years old and going through, there's even 3 years now, and just recently with the Thikimoto show. This society is much different than I thought it was, and I mean much fucking different.
It is.
To the point, the shock is so bad, it is causing me seizures. They had so many people they were paying to just stay around me. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints has been concealing the X-ray program. Bush, so HW is my grandfather, they said. George Walker Bush, he died in 2023. They're just keeping that a secret. They did the same thing with Fidel Castro. We didn't find out until after 4 years after Fidel Castro dies. He was the leader of Cuba. 4 years after he dies, they finally tell us that he's dead. 4 years. So I'm like, all right, so I get it. You're not telling us for years after these prominent people die that they are dead. I was like, okay. I don't know what that thing is doing. I was on the corner of First and Stewart. and it was on July 7th, 2023. And I was sitting there in my horror corner, and a bunch of cops show up. Over 10 police cars seal off this block. And I was like, there was no large commotion beforehand, right? And then they get out the police line do not cross tape, and they rope off half of First Avenue in Seattle. Then the ambulance shows up, and it's not moving fast. Okay, so whatever they have found is already dead. This is July 7th. This is George Walker Bush, the 43rd president. They called him in the United States. In Seattle, you find a prostitute or somebody dead in a dumpster, 1 police car. 10 show up for a dead body, someone important died. That's
Absolutely.
Walker Bush. He died on my horror corner. I'm like, that's right, you asshole. Welcome to the goddess of death.
What was he doing on the corner, though?
Watching me. He has been stalking my whole life because I couldn't be killed. They put me in, I'm the Ark of the Covenant. No weapon formed against me prospers. I have, like, in 2021, they had a sniper on me. So I'm basically just collecting the grass clippings. And a voice comes on and goes, they've got a sniper on you right now. Like, where? And then my head physically turns to that direction. I'm like, okay. And I look around and I realize sniper territory. That is an elevated position. That's a good one. Over there, it's downhill. You're not going to get a shot there. Over there is an open field. I can easily see there. In that direction's a house. There's no shot there. That's really the only section a sniper can be on me at. And I realized, I'm like, I've got no escape options here. I'm on a riding lawnmower.
Yeah.
With a sniper on me. So I finally just jump off. Like, it takes me about maybe a second and a half. I realize I don't have a running option. And so I'm like, do it, bitch! No vest! And I just flip up my shirt. I don't have a bra on at this point. So I'm like, do it, you fucker. Where is your fucking bullet, bitch? I can tell he knows I'm there. And the voice comes on. I'm like, what do you need to kill me, you bitch? And a voice comes on and says, he needs you to hold still. I'm like, here you go, bitch. I'm holding still. And I wait for him to shoot me. I'm like, to get a fuck or not? I finally get sick and tired of waiting for him to kill me. I really want to die at that point. And I finally just give up. I'm like, I guess you're a piece of shit. And I just get back on, what else am I going to do? Like, I just get back on the riding lawnmower and continue clipping the grass. Turns out an energy beam melted the weapon's trigger face. Metal, so if you apply heat to it, it'll expand and get stuck.
Yeah.
Weapon will not fire. So that's what he's telling Bush. When I had that vision of Bush's people shooting at me in 2021, and I thought that was just because I took Suez Canal. The door opens in this vision, and there's 2 men standing in my house. But there's no holes in my wall. Okay. There's a shield around me that bounces bullets. When the Spetsnaz came over there in June 30th, 2023, they just thought it was an open field. 25% of them limped home, twisted ankles. Like, one guy stepped through a log, like it was a rotting log, and stepped through it. It wasn't firm like they thought it was going to be. This place is extremely hard to attack. They came back. There was 5 times they landed in one night on that road. My roomie heard it. He's like, they sure are loud. Like, that was a Facebook message. So that's a timestamp.
That was when you were telling me when you were on mushrooms, right? When they landed over there?
The first time I had done mushrooms, yeah. So it wasn't me hallucinating.
Because he also heard it.
Yes, he also heard it. Like, I was like, you're a helicopter landing on a civilian road. You're a foreigner. Domestic people hunting me will use cars because they live here. If you live on another continent,
you need to fly.
You're using air of some sort.
Yeah.
Then I found that BBC report that Vladimir Putin, because and the voice went like, Vladimir Putin's on that helicopter. I'm like, I thought you came to hang out. Like,
he obviously wasn't chill enough.
He was trying to sell me to the Chinese because I've been taking satellites for about half a year at that point, about 4 months. What happened?
Well, if that wouldn't make sense though, because then the Chinese would have the ability to get the satellites taken down if they have you, because you're able to take the satellites down.
Well, they want me to stop taking satellites because that's one of their intel sources.
Okay.
It started out as an accident. What I was doing is, so remember the heat thing I showed you where I can put the heat? And
Yeah.
So
The negative and positive energies.
yes. So the infrared energy wavelengths. So that's infrared. That's a black hole. That's a galaxy builder. What makes galaxy clusters? Magnetic. And what I thought was like, I wonder if I can feel magnetic energy. That's how I started. And so I start focusing on it and it stings my arm. And I'm like, well, that's stinging right now. I feel a pain that was not there before. Right, so that is magnetic. So I was doing that over and over again. Then I'm walking up the stairs. So you saw those on the other side of the house. And that's when I was still living inside. And I'm walking and I was like, this is like the sky. I remember I was looking at the stars because I like that. And I was like, the sky seems still, like it wasn't moving like it normally does. And a voice comes from and says, the satellites are missing. You're doing that. I realized that merely measuring the magnetic wavelengths of energy is destroying satellites. I realized it's a tactical weapon. That's when I start living outside because I want to stay outside for a lot of the night because at nighttime
You can see them.
you can see them. So I start focusing on it and pulling that magnetic wavelength of energy. Normally satellites will just drift and until you can't see them over the horizon anymore. They start disappearing. The dot disappears and I'm like, I'm stopping this dot from moving. I do it over and over again. I think it's cool.
It is pretty cool.
It is. That's why I get these radiations. So that when I'm using that huge amount of energy,
Is that it's creating
it's
a
also
radioactive energy,
sucking in the radiation of the cosmos, but it's on me. I like
and
so
it needs to find a way to go.
it does. So this I have so many scars from radiation blisters now. This so that's a scar right there. There's more over here. I've got more on my arms. They heal poorly. About what was it? I'm trying to think what time of year it was. Roomie comes to me and he's like, "What's that blister?" And I was like, "Oh, what is?" I just thought like, no, I didn't really care. Like I've had so much shit happen. Like I already know my kids are dead. I'm starting to learn how bad it was, and that's all. That's hard. So I don't give a shit if I've got a blister on me. He's like, "Are you sure you're not just drinking too much?" And I'm like, I didn't give a shit. What happens is about a year later, a voice comes on and goes, "Those are radiation blisters." I look up radiation blisters online and I see the exact color of the blister solution and the purple tissue when it heals.
Yeah.
They heal very poorly is what I've noticed. Radiation blisters. And so I kept doing it. I was like, oh, so you guys are the people killing pagans. I'm just taking your satellites. Welcome to war, you assholes. So I keep on taking satellites. February of 2023 is when the Chinese float that balloon. You do not send a satellite to understand why satellites are missing. They're looking for, they thought it was going to be about an acre wide. It's me. I'm like Magneto from
Is
the X-Men.
that when that balloon was in the news?
February 2023. By March 2023, I see at 3:53 a.m. local time, a bunch of Chinese balloons dragged by a drone fly right over here. I was like, and they look like Chinese balloons. It's a sphere with two cylinders on either side and these tiny lights in between it. So it's looking like a Chinese balloon float. It's being head by a drone so they can turn it around. It can land on an aircraft carrier and then get the camera from it. That happens in March of 2023. By June 30th, 2023, the Russians are landing here. The next weekend, 10,000 Asians on scooters invade. I was listening to 107.7 the end. They're like 10,000 Asians on scooters. They do not understand our traffic signs. They're on I-5. It's only 3:30. It caused a huge traffic wreck. So that was the next weekend. So I can tell both the Russians and the Chinese are looking right at this location. Seattle, you can get 10,000 scooters. There's about 4,000. Like those scooters that you can like.
The rent scooters?
Yes.
Yeah.
About 4,000 in Seattle. 10,000 Asia. Someone brought 6,000 extra scooters.
I saw. I used to go to concerts in Seattle all the time.
Uh-huh.
I saw a lady try to ride one of those on heels, and she ate shit so bad. I felt so bad for her. She hit the ground so hard.
Do you remember what kind of heels?
Oh, they were like those really the thin, tall ones. There wasn't a good base. She didn't have the good chunk of it. She had the really thin, like point heels.
I love you.
She was going
I love
downhill.
you.
I don't know why she thought riding it on heels was a good idea. It was not a good idea.
Do you remember what she was wearing?
Something skimpy. It was warm out.
Okay.
I'm
Was it shiny? Do you know?
No, it wasn't shiny. I think it was like a faux leather skirt type thing.
How do you remember how was it like to the knees?
Above
Okay.
the knee.
All right, so mid calf, or so mid thigh.
Yeah.
Okay. So mid thigh.
I don't know why she thought a scooter was a good idea in that outfit.
What happened?
She was going downhill and she hit like a weird pocket in the sidewalk and went right over, like face into the concrete.
Did she have like a backpack on or anything for
No.
additional damage?
No. She had a purse, but she wasn't carrying it. She was with a dude. I think they were like on a date or something, and the dude was carrying her little purse.
That's stupid. Okay, so she gets on a scooter with shitty heels. Like I've done scooter surfing before. What I really like in Seattle is it's like your rickshaws of Asia. That's a dude on a bike, but they like have like these carriages behind bikes. So they have some sort of assist on a bike, and they'll pedal you around. They have like some cool lights on or something, and typically music.
Mhm.
They'll have some cool music in there. Like you can just like just sit there and enjoy, like the Queen of England herself. Just sit there and enjoy wherever you're riding from. It was like it was like Puck from the Real World or something like that. I've done that once. It was $20. I was trying to get up to Pike Market, and I was just super tired that day, and I had $20. I was like, "Hey man, ride to Pike Market. It's like $20." I'm like, "Here you go." And so he pedals me to Pike Market, but it was so fun to be out in the air. And then you see this retard in heels, which I'm still stuck on. Sorry. So she has these like skinny heels. What you said they were shiny?
No, they were the skinny tall ones.
The skinny tall ones with some shiny, with some fox leather. I was like, so if you're gonna do that, hey, that's cool. All you gotta do is take off your shoes,
Yeah.
put them on your backpack, whatever, and just ride barefoot. You can totally do it that way. But this dumb weirdo put on. So I don't know if you've heard the story. It was when I think it was 19 or just 20 years old, and I was learning a new bus line from Seattle to Bellevue. I was in Kitsap Pier and taking the ferry to work. Then I moved over to Kirkland, and then I also spent a lot of time in the Bellevue area, so I had to learn a new bus line. So I do. And there's this dude behind me. Turns out it's Sticky. And he's talking to me on the bus. Like, he's known me for years. And Kikimoto. And we end up in Medina. And this is where Bill Gates lives. Jeff Bezos. It's an affluent neighborhood. Okay. And I thought I was like, dude, we're in Medina. We're on a bus. We're poor. the Medina people will come out and chase us. Get out of our now. I thought the bus had taken a wrong turn or something, and that the rich people were going to come beat upon the bus. Get out of here, poor people. I'd been treated so poorly by my rich relatives as a kid. I thought that's what rich people did.
Right.
But that didn't happen. I was like really kind of looking forward to it. Like the rich people running through the jungle. Like I realized now it was irrational, but that's what I thought was going to happen at the time. What does happen is I look out on the Bellevue side of this bus, and there I see a black woman with a cigarette hanging off her fingers, just sitting there on the corner, handling life. Normal
Fuck yeah.
person. Yeah. And but right next to her is a brown 1970 looking Buick.
Mm.
So a larger, older car. This is in the year 1999. This car is about, 20 years oldish, about. And I'm like, all right, cool. I didn't realize what was going on. The bus keeps going, and I see a crumpled nose of a red Porsche. I'm like, dude, a rich person has collided with a poor person. And I'm like scope locked on this. And the bus keeps going, and there's a lady, and then the window moves on forward in this wreck, and there is a lady in a red matchy suit, so everything matches. She's got her red matchy nails, her red matchy suit, her blonde updo, and what is she doing to this Bellevue police officer? That's the move that she's doing. It's like, so they got a black woman just handling life. And this rich lady in Medina with a shiny red Porsche.
Freaking the fuck out.
Freaking out. I'm like, no one's on a stretcher here. There's no, like, this is just a fender bender. It's just property. Like, we're all okay. Like, and she's freaking out. And the irony of this happening in Medina is so funny to me. I, for one of the first times in my life, shout out on the bus. Like, I wanted to say, check out this loser, but I didn't want the people on the bus to think I was being judgmental. So I'm like, check out this weirdo. I was like, how could I not? I was like, what a retard. So we look and we see this rich lady in Medina just melting down. Basically, what I found out later what happened is she was drunk and trying to get out of a DUI.
She was yeah, okay.
Yeah, okay. So I was like, oh, okay. So what happens is this, what I thought was a homeless guy sitting, that's Thikimoto. He's on the bus with me in Medina. He's older than people think. And Thicky, he was born, I think, in the 50s, I think 55 or 50, I'm sorry, 53. 50.
So he's in his 80s almost. 70s, 80s.
No, actually, no. So 60. So let's see. So 50, 70s.
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 Thick in his 70s.
He's Bill Gates.
Mm.
He's,
Sneaky bastard. He's got us all fooled.
He's
got me fooled.
He wants to be seen as a normal. He doesn't want that famous persona.
Mm.
I'm like, that's okay to want. So that's my Thikimoto gorilla. Because there's a story of him, of Bill Gates. And this was from the 1990s. Microsoft becomes insanely popular. And I'm forgive not insane, but hugely popular. For the first time since the Library of Alexandria of Egypt was burned, we now have XY Cartesian communication. This is a huge leap forward for our civilization. This Windows, this mouse, like you don't need to go learn a programming language to get information. That works. So even old people can get a lot of information. Microsoft and Windows ushers in a huge era. In the 1990s, you have what's called the antitrust lawsuits. Basically, Bush from the government, I don't want people to be able to read without paying to go to college. But Bill Gates is giving away for free Internet Explorer built in. Like, you don't have to use our browser. You can go get that, use that browser to get another one.
Yeah.
But they want him to take that out in particular because that's women in their homes having access to the world's library called the Internet. Google comes out around the same time, correct?
Is that why they're changing all the documents?
They're changing the documents to cover up their war plan. They killed Boris Yeltsin in 1999, thimerosal poisoning. I looked at footage of him before his death as like, you are stumbling around like Biden did. And that's what I hit Biden with, was a huge dose of thimerosal. Thimerosal is mercury, which is a +3 charge, which coats your nerve system so you don't have a lot of your nerves responding to you.
Your really rigid movements.
Yeah. And then, so we saw that with Biden. He stumbles around a lot. His feet are not responding to his neurological command because they're coated in a metal that is liquid at room temperature, mercury. Thimerosal is the powdered version of it. When I already knew about that, but when I was working in pharmaceuticals in the year 2017, one of our salesmen, it's 2017 or 2016, one of our salesmen, he wanted to sell that through our division. We had our health and safety manager evaluate, because we have to do that for all the chemicals in our building, so they know what is interacting with what. That's their job. And what they said was, yes, you can bring it into the warehouse, but if you spill even a teaspoon of it, you have to shut down for 2 weeks for decontamination. Thimerosal is so toxic. This is what you're putting into vaccines. It's another gunship. They are fun. They blow around the bushes, and then they run. These sounds are not in the pitch.
I gotta start moving my shit over.
That's okay. But can I help you with anything?
I think I'm good. Thank you, though. I appreciate it.
Well,
I still got a little bit to hang out. I'm just gonna start moving everything to the car.
You let me know what you want to do. That sounds like a more modern helicopter, so that would be like a wealthy person. Sounds private too.
Well, are you gonna be wealthy or not if you have a small plane to begin with? I'm not wealthy. I don't have a fucking small
I
plane.
know. I just destroyed jets in midair. I don't need that.
Can you grab me that beef jerky? Yeah, in the grocery bag. In a little bit. I'm moving the stuff to the car, and then I'm gonna eat some beef jerky. Just moving my shits over.
Sounds like Lauren has had a good time.
Oh yeah, I'm having a good time.
Yeah.
Did you see it?
No, I didn't. It was over on the tree line already by the time I got over here.
It felt like it blocked out the sun for a second with it.
Okay, so it's close enough. It sounded close enough. I
It
just
was,
wanted to
yeah,
know
it
you
was.
saw
It was really close.
Cool.
Felt like the wings blocked out the sun.
I've had to see it, but it's like a couple weeks ago, or maybe I'm sorry, like it was we had a big black helicopter
Sit back down.
fly over here, and then the Chinese balloons that came over in March were from here to here. That's where I saw them.
Across the front of the driveway.
Yep, so it was headed northeast.
I see.
And
Where's
then-
this rock at for the
Over
solar
here.
noon?
I'll show you. I'll show you. Ruby is kind of stupid sometimes. Well, I was like, move the fucking car, and he's like, I'll get around to it. I'm like, never mind. We moved it to put it down here. This is the rock we put down.
Okay.
And he didn't want, I didn't want it to get moved, so I buried it a little bit so that if you kicked it. So that is the solar noon rock for the summer solstice.
Okay.
The one over there is the winter solstice.
I gotta eat this beef jerky before I drive.
Cool. I know, we live in the wild. We live in the wild. So there's that. So it's very much like the movie Castaway. But what I've noticed about, and we even saw it today, where is this shadow? It looks about right here. So we have shade, that's the thing about the tree line is what I wanted to take Apex Airport so I could do this solar mapping. because that does, it's already it's an airport that's cleared, so we don't have these trees because trees will cause a crash of the plane. What I did is I got this pole and I drew this line with some spray paint. We are almost, so this is where the shadow was today is right here. If you're going to break this up into quadrants of 6, because from winter to summer, 6 months. We just got done with our spring equinox. We should be more in the middle of the line here. We are already way over here.
Yeah.
Okay. We have accelerated in our orbit. We now have a 100-day orbit. We used to have a 365-day orbit. We don't have that much time in our year anymore.
Yeah.
As our solar system gets closer to the Boreas void, the metal plate on the surface of the sun is doing a magnetic assist, like on the movie Ender's Game, where he's like, you got to use what's around you. Use a magnetic assist for something you're orbiting. We orbit this dude up here.
Yeah.
We are much farther ahead. We're in our June position. This is early April. The new sunspot, they're like, sunspots so big you can see them from Earth. This has created an additional magnetic field that is making us go faster around it because we have a magnetic core ourselves. So that's winter. So I was like, I can tell that we are ahead in our orbit, but our political calendars wouldn't reflect that.
Of course.
Because we are still rotating day and night. So we still have a shade side and a light side. And that's why we have daylight and night light still. But we're in a different position in our year orbit. And the government refuses to acknowledge this. I'm like, I can tell by the fucking shadow on the ground, okay? Like, why are you trying to hide this? We can tell from a fucking sundial. I was like, you are so desperate to keep your Christian narrative of a government that they're denying the very position of our Earth around the sun we orbit. I was like, you are fucking gone psychologically. Mentally, you just want to keep that Rockefeller slave labor going, and you don't give a shit. Or really, the Christian Nicene slave labor going. It was like, because what happens is this April, so later in this April, we're going to hit a Pelon. And there's a magnetic plate that is additional heat that we are not accustomed to, but it's a very narrow part. Just like the rings of Saturn are a very skinny part of that infrared field, so is the Boreas void. That line on our sun, as the gravitational waves hit it, it gets bigger and bigger. The NASA test satellite, they caught the destruction of the star that already had a huge metal shell around it. It was just in the last few months of that star's life. That's called a tidal disruption event, is what NASA was calling it. It is a hard shell, like the Ferrero Rocher candies, those hazelnut things with the gold wrapper on them. Your star is like that.
It's my fan for my heater.
I was like, I hope you're.
There's like a cog in it that's missing, so when it kicks on and off, it makes a weird clicking sound.
Okay.
It's like, it's not gonna fuck up my radiator at all, so it's so small of an issue that I haven't gone to fix it.
I know,
yet.
right? I wouldn't do it either. I was like, are you still working? Like, are you breaking something? I don't have to worry about it. So when this solar noon line is right here, I can tell we are ahead in our orbit. We also have had a lot nicer weather, or like some people call it nicer weather, more sunny days. Typically in spring, it's much more rainy. And I mean rainy. There's water coming down.
Yeah, I'm surprised there hasn't been as much rain so far.
Because we are in our summer position of our orbit now.
Yeah.
Or just about summer. So, but our water has a certain calorimeter constant. That means its heat capacity, how much heat it can hold. You have to heat the ocean up for 3 months to get that. The ocean water does not care where we are in our orbit. It cares how long that degree tilt of the Earth they've been receiving that ultraviolet energy from, and then releasing it as heat. So you have ultraviolet, you have visible light, and you have infrared. Infrared's heat. Ultraviolet strikes our surface, and once that particular rock or water has, once it reaches how much UV it can hold, it then releases that heat as infrared. It changes the wavelength of the energy. That's how we.
What are you doing?
I was looking for the degrees.
They're in the cooler in the other door of the back seat.
Okay.
There's also the water in the front seat.
So you have a bunch of down jets in your area.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
I haven't found any.
You just heard about them?
Yeah, I just know of them.
What are they? What are people saying about it there?
A whole lot of nothing. You got to go look for it. We are pretty close to a like an arms storage area.
Munitions depot.
Yes. Yes.
So you got a munitions depot up in Bellingham.
Yeah.
Okay. There's a bunch of like military shit all over the country. Like we were going to be invaded or shit. And then really it just turns into where you get shit to police your own population. Because you can get police. Like police don't typically get access to military bases, but your shadow government, your dark ops do. That's where your dark ops are keeping. That looks like a place to sit down. Looks like your dark ops are keeping munitions in various places around the country, but there's no warrants, there's no due process against this shadow government. That is just having munitions available in multiple states, waging war on the United States population.
Troy keeps making eyes at me like he's ready to go.
Okay, well that's okay. Like,
Thank you for having me over.
well, thank you for coming. Like, it was
Can
cool.
I give you a hug?
Yes, of course. Thank you. Oh, thank you for coming over. You're cool.
I was only looking over because I can't find it.
Oh.
I love it.
They're going top shelf premium. Hey,
Yeah.
do you want some pot seeds?
I have a bunch of seeds I
Okay.
can't grow right now
Okay,
anyway.
good. Hey, like I just like to share because I know some people don't really keep it. I do. I'll keep retains of each of my pot packs.
I collect whatever is left in my bag.
I do that too. It's in the buds. And you can start them with paper towels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then once you get those sprouts out, then you can put that in whatever your growth medium is. And then you're off to red. That was a pretty necklace.
That is what I was looking for.
You have to
I'm
go over
around.
there to get it, Troy.
I think we are still going to take off though.
Okay. Well, then, thank you for coming on.
Yeah, thank
Oh,
you for having
nice.
us.
You have the skull and bones here.
Yes.
322. It's
That
just
came
for trilogy.
on the car.
Did it?
Yeah.
Nice.
This was
Okay.
my uncle's car before it was mine. He put it on there because he felt like it didn't have enough balls.
Yeah.
That's what he said.
That's what he said.
Yeah.
Alright. Very cool. Yeah, no, this one here. So now, I'll talk to Vicky later.
Oh yeah.
I was like, yeah, so he did nuclear chemistry work. He has a
Was
lot
he
of-
good at it?
He was one of the best I've ever seen.
One of the
Actually,
best?
Quite frankly, as far as when it goes to wet chemistry and shit, he was the best I've seen.
Hell yeah.
Yes. I've never seen someone hit a 1.0 before.
I'll
since.
have to make him share his secrets with me because he doesn't tell anyone about any of that.
Because he's been persecuted by the government for it.
Oh, I see.
There's a lot of shit they did to him. And I mean, war crimes did to him. So he's just basically just trying to get the word out, create safe. He likes to create safe spaces for people, so I think he does.
Yeah.
And so I've been killing the people that were harming him. And he's just doing what he chooses to do with his life, or unless he can get away with it.
Yeah.
So yeah. So thank you for coming out, man.
Yeah, thank you for
Appreciate
having us.
it. I know you're so cool. Thank you, Pat. I love you so much.
I love you.
Yes.
At some point again this summer, I will come back out to see you.
You know where I live?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Bye.
Enjoy the rest of your day. What up, y'all? Holy shit. Oh. Alright, guys, I'm gonna go live later. I gotta drive.